Ladies and gentlemen, tonight we are live for running of the Southern 500 on KRC for NASCAR 06 Total Team Control. It is the NASCAR Nextel Cup Series, and it is the Do It For Dale Series once again. Race number 10 on the season at the Darlington Raceway under the lights for the first ever night race in the Southern 500, as it is the Dodge Charger 500. Like and subscribe for more daily NASCAR content as we are about to get into tonight's race. This should be an interesting one to say the least. It was a wild Busch Series race last night at the Darlington Raceway. We'll see what the Cup Series has to offer today. Dale Jr. ended up having a 13th place finish in the Busch race yesterday, but the Cup side, he has been on a tear. He has won 3 of the last 4 races, and he, including winning the last 2, has a shot to go for 3 wins in a row tonight. Darlington was never one of the best tracks for Dale Earnhardt Jr. He never won a Southern 500 in his career. We're going to try to recreate history today by doing just that with the Great 8 and with, of course, DEI, and try to get another win this season. He already leads with 4 wins through the first 9 races. And again, I did not expect that to happen. And he has climbed his way out of the pretty much... It wasn't a huge points deficit, but considering we were right on the cutoff line for the chase about 3 to 4 races ago before rattling off 3 wins in the last 4 races, it has really picked the pace up for this 8 team. And even that one race he didn't win in that stretch, it was a 7th place finish at Bristol. So things are going very, very good for him as of late. Let's get this one underway today. No practice or qualifying for this Cup Series race at Darlington, but we did have 147 laps of practice tonight, so I do feel very, very focused and ready to go for this one. I feel confident with the setup we are going to have. Green flag is going to be in the air. Matt Kenseth will be on the pole and lead the field to the green. A little bit of a stack up on the start in front of Dale Jr. He got into the back of one of the generated drivers. 500 miles. He's not going to have to rush through the field early like in last night's 200-mile race, so he is just going to kind of be patient here on the opening start. Ride it at the back as a lot of the field 2x2. There was an early caution yesterday on lap 3 when the 83 car had spun off of turn 4. We'll see if we get any accidents here on the opening lap or potential stack-ups. There was a little bit of one. Junior looked to the inside. He's going to get on the brakes early, let Jamie McMurray get down in front of him. Smart move by Dale Jr. Closest finish in NASCAR history and in channel history was in the last Cup race at Talladega Superspeedway last weekend. It took place on a Sunday, or a Friday night rather. And Dale Jr. stayed in that middle lane. He chose not to block up high. He chose not to block down low. He didn't want to side draft. He stayed right where he was. It was just enough to hold on and get the victory by a nose. Some people were saying in the chat at the time it was a 3-way tie. It looked like it, but my goodness, what a close race that was. And we'll see if we have a classic Darlington finish here today as well in this historic race. Already our second Crown Jewel event of the year. Another checkup in the middle of turns 3 and 4. Junior got into the back of the 147 car a second time now in the first 3 laps. I don't know the specific reason why Boyer wasn't in the booth yesterday, other than it over the booth they said it was some sort of personal family reasons that he was gone. So hopefully everything's all right with the Boyer family. That was the reason, as far as we know, is why he wasn't in the booth. Junior going to make a pass on the 147 car, risk not running into the back of him again. First car he has even really attempted to pass. Got it done with ease. The long run is where the handling is really going to become an issue in this race, like we saw in the Busch Series race yesterday. Dale Jr. had good short run speed on fresher tires. That's why he was able to lead 21 laps of that race despite finishing in the 13th place position. But starting out at the back, we'll see if he can get it done. Qualified 13th at Talladega, but ran top 10 most of the day. It's going to be a lot different of a circumstance in tonight's race. Got a good run off the exit of turn 2. Jamie McMurray moving up past Shane Neal. Dale Jr. going to try to do the same. Jr. slides up in front of Neal with the slide job maneuver. Makes the pass. Backs up the middle of the corner. Now gets to the inside of Jamie Mack off turn 4. Leffler thought about going down to block Dale Jr. Had a tremendous run Didn't clear McMurray, but he will get to the inside of the 11 for Joe Gibbs Racing. Jason Leffler and Dale Jr. moving forward slowly but surely. Mears trying to crowd him on the back straightaway, and Dale Jr. will get underneath him now as well. Some stronger cars towards the back of the pack right now. Jeff Burton in the 31 also towards the back. Dale Jr. underneath him into turns 1 and 2. Boris Said in the 36 car in front of both of those guys. Jr. inside the top 35. R6 Derek Booth, Patrick Shadley, Poisonous Frog, welcome to the stream as well. Already 12 likes. Jr. up into the wall in turn 3. Didn't take overly long to get that first Darlington stripe of the night. He still can't get off the wall, off the exit of turn 4. It's a long race. He's kind of stepped over the edge a little bit. Easy to do in traffic and dirty air. Probably going to tighten up the race car at times. He was really tight off the exit of turn 4 by the end of the race with the adjustments he was making during the Busch race last night. I got to say, on the short run, the car feels really well. It's just so easy to make a mistake at this racetrack. Sure, as all of you guys watching know, whether it's video game or real life. Will Keegan get a Darlington stripe? As soon as I saw that in the chat just now, I can answer yes. Just got one at 3 and 4. 1 and 2 is actually where Junior was making more issues for the most part yesterday, and then at the end of the race, he actually nailed that corner, that end of the track pretty well, and that's where he was gaining the most time. A lot of guys riding the wall right now. Dale Jr. does not feel confident to do that right now, especially this early in the race. Maybe late in the going if he has to pick up a lot of speed, but battling it out for a win. It is way too early to run up there for Junior's liking. There's a big block by Jeff Burton in the 31 as he gets to the inside of Boris Said and it turns 3 and 4. Junior going to follow Burton. And he'll get by Said. Hope to go to this in person this year. I highly recommend it. I was at the Southern 500 2020. Darlington is a great racetrack. They put on some stellar races the last few years. And this year at the Next Gen car, the first race they had there was really good too. I highly recommend it. Very old school feel of a racetrack as well. Another Darlington stripe for Dale Jr. And Boris Said got right back around him. Second time he's been in the wall already in the first 13 laps of the race. Have to watch it at that end of the track. That's why it's so hard to find a setup for this racetrack too, because Junior's rolling through 1 and 2 perfectly, but he's kind of struggling with the entry to turn 3. Not really a one setup fits all at this racetrack more often than not. Rusty Wallace stuck on the outside in the Blue Deuce. Lost a spot to Jeff Burton, Scott Wimmer, and now Boris Said's looking to get around him. Dale Jr. will follow Said to the inside into turn 1. It's definitely the passing corner for Dale Jr. Jr. feeling a bit gutsy right now. Going to go 3 wide to the inside of Said and Wimmer. Wimmer is clear up high. One car blowing up on the bottom of the racetrack, trying to stay out of the way and trying to make it into pit road. Not sure who that was, but somebody has just blown an engine. We have our first driver retiree of the day. 3 wide, off of turn number 4. Junior risky with it again, but they all kept it off each other. 2 3-wide passes for Junior in the span of a lap, passing 4 cars in that stretch to move inside the top 30 for the first time. How many Darlington stripes? That should be the trivia question. I'll keep track as best as I can. We've had 2 of them, both on entry into turn 3 so far. Hopefully not too many, because we know the damage in this game is pretty harsh. 3 wide on the front stretch. Junior not going to let up this time. Really low on entry. He's lucky he's got fresher tires. Scoots up the hill. John Andretti was able to clear Ryan Newman, as well as Dale Jr. Jr. still on the inside of the 14 of Andretti. 2-time Cup Series champion right in front of Dale Jr. and the number 44 of Terry Labonte right now. Kenseth has led the opening 16 laps of the race after qualifying on the pole. It's like a 3-car breakaway towards the front of the field, and Kenseth's even broken away from second to third a little bit as the battle for second is on. Dale Jr. all the way down low. Trying to complete the pass off turn 4. Still can't clear high on Labonte. Into turn 3 he will. Billy Carjoy, welcome to the stream. Yeah, comment in the chat down below. How many Darlington stripes do you think Dale Jr. is going to have tonight? Got 2 right now. And we have a long ways to go. About 347 more laps. I will say, the 8 car, though, when he's not making a minor mistake, which he's only done twice, this car looks really quick. Carried maybe a bit too much speed into turn 3 that time. Couple DEI cars side by side of Truex and Waltrip, nearly making contact. Well, Junior got into the left rear of Ricky Rudd. Ran him back. Rudd did crowd Dale Jr. off of turn 4 quite a bit, though, causing that contact. R6 says 10. That's a... Honestly, with having 2 already, I'd take that. I'd take hitting the wall 8 more times the rest of this race. Just ignore them in the chat, guys. Walter's still somewhat keeping up with Truex. Into turn 1, Junior lifted quite a bit. He almost got into the side of Bobby Labonte. So hard just to drive it off side by side into a corner. Anytime there's no contact made, gotta give these guys a lot of credit. I will say the handling of this car already feels better than the Busch Series car yesterday. It's something about those Busch Series cars. I can't find the setup for them. And that's part of the struggle with Dale Jr. this season, why he's 15th in points there and 4th in the Cup Series standings. Contact up ahead into turns 3 and 4. Couldn't tell who it was, but I saw some sparks flying. Still quite a bit of side-by-side racing for it being the early going at Darlington. There's drivers in the middle of the pack that didn't qualify well, just trying to find their way towards the front. Try to get team orders to get Dale Jr. around Michael Waltrip right now. Waltrip needs a solid day. Nicely done for Dale Jr. Smart play. Waltrip outside the top 20 in the standings. Last 2 races he ran so good the first half, but got caught up in a wreck at Phoenix, which he was running 3rd at one point in time midway through that race. Ended up finishing outside the top 20. Actually, if I remember right, he finished 30th. And finished outside the top 20 at Talladega, despite the fact that he had ran top 10 most of the first half of that race also. Truex cuts down to the bottom underneath Kenny Schrader. Dale Jr. gets underneath Bobby Labonte. Jr. going to sit underneath Labonte into turns 3 and 4. Martin Truex Jr. in the 1 will clear Kenny Schrader. Dale Jr. trying to do the same. Team orders now for Dale Jr. to get to the inside of Truex into turns 1 and 2. Jr. pitches it in there, a little slide job, and he'll clear his teammate for 18. Where did I learn something about setups? I didn't really go on specific sites. The trick to these... Oh, somebody just brushed the wall. Off turn 4, didn't stack these guys up too much. Can't tell who that is. It might be Carl Edwards. A few cars up ahead of Dale Jr. But the trick I have, I'm all about handling in these long races, especially in the Cup Series. That's probably why I'm struggling in the Busch Series. I'm lacking the handling, trying to go for a bit more edginess because the races are shorter. But in these 500-mile races, especially these older EA games, there's quite a few of them. got to go with the handling, and you got to put downforce into the car. Now, the super speedways, you can't mess with the downforce and the fender flare of the race car because of the package is very restricted. So, pretty much, if you just give me a car that handles well, I'll figure out how to drive it as far as, you know, where I have to get out of the gas, get on the brakes, and whatnot. In a race like this where there was no practice or qualifying, it usually takes me about 30 to 40 laps to settle in. But honestly, it's taken a lot quicker than that tonight, considering Junior was patient the first probably 5-6 laps and felt comfortable to start moving his way through traffic, and he's done just that so far. Want to get most of the way through the field if you can before the tires really start to fall off a cliff. Like maybe right there. Drove it in really deep into turn 3. Did a great job keeping it off of Scott Riggs, who was on the outside in the number 10. I think Truex might have been just close behind the 8 of Dale Jr. Might have taken the air off the rear spoiler just enough. Probably upset the 8 car just a bit as well. Very tough track. Breaking news in the NASCAR world, Truex set to retire at the end of the year. Is that confirmed? Or is that still out of speculation? I figured he'd make his announcement. I would assume he was leaning towards retirement the last couple weeks. I was assuming he was going to make that announcement during the off week, which is this week for the Cup Series. Means that's the only one this season. Ty Gibbs to Cup. Is Ty Gibbs to Cup the done deal, though, or no? I would have to imagine that's the way they would lean. Man, I have a bad feeling it might be another Daniel Suarez situation, though. Where, I mean, Gibbs is competing for a championship, may win the title in the Xfinity Series this year, but getting rushed to Cup. Truex can get by Dale Jr. The third Darlington stripe of the race for Dale Jr. after 32 laps. Bliss all over him right now. All of them have been in 3 and 4. Mostly on entry into turn 3, not so much the exit of the corner. Junior looks low into turns 3 and 4. He'll get right back around Truex with the team orders. I don't know if Dale Jr.'s fast enough, though. I think he might have burnt the tires off the car trying to pass as many cars as he could on this opening run. He's kind of stalled out right around 15th. Nathan Elliott, welcome to the stream. Rumor Harvick is retiring this year or next year. Probably next year. He's on contract through next season, so I don't think he's retiring this year. Putting a lot of pressure on Dale Earnhardt Jr. right now. And you already saw the 8 car get a little loose a few laps ago with Truex right on his back bumper, maybe taking the air off the rear spoiler. Long single file line up ahead. A lot of guys running the outside, especially through 3 and 4. It's where the passing lane's open on the bottom for Junior, but at this point in the run, not looking quite as quick as what he was when the run first started. And of course, the further up through the field you move, the faster the cars are. They're going to be harder to pass in general that way as well. Halfway on fuel at lap 35, still caution free in tonight's Southern 500 at Darlington. Mark DeMars, welcome to the stream. Castor Neves to Cup for one race. Are you guys just saying random stuff now? It'd be pretty cool, though, if he ran, like, the Trackhouse 91 car for one race. I was kind of hoping, you know, these guys, like, if they get any, like, open-wheel IndyCar guys to run at either COTA or Indianapolis road course. You know, road courses that they've actually ran in recent years probably best suit them. Or if Kimi Räikkönen could have ran at COTA earlier this year, I feel like that would have been great for him personally. Skill set wise, I'm sure he'll still, you know, I mean, obviously he's going to be in decent equipment. The Trackhouse cars have been fast on road courses this year, so it'll be interesting to see what he can do at Watkins Glen. It's just I don't know how many laps of experience he has there, if any at all, though. I don't know if Hendrick would want Trackhouse to be affiliated with them, though. I mean, they're already competing pretty high level. You know, if you give them too much, you know, of your backup equipment, they may start beating you. It might be like a Furniture Row situation with Joe Gibbs, where after a while, they were just beating up on Gibbs with the 78 team. And even when they went to 2 cars with Eric Jones that one year, he had a great rookie season. In 2017 in that 77 car, he had a bunch of standout performances at skill-based tracks where he had top 10s. And I think if Hendrick learned any lesson, you know, from that a few years ago with Joe Gibbs Racing and Furniture Row, I feel like they would probably not do that to that kind of a team that's already starting to slowly succeed. And the difference, too, like Front Row was slowly succeeding, you know, maybe winning a race or 2 a year, but they weren't, like, dominating outside of that. The races that Trackhouse hasn't won this year, they're still running at a really high level compared to Front Row in, like, 2015-ish. Then again, I think Truex, when he made the Final Four with the 78, was that when, not when he won the championship, but the first time. I want to say either 2015 or 2016 he made the Final Four. Oh, boy. Junior got the wall off turn 2. Darlington stripe there as he had the car slip out from underneath him off the exit of the corner. Get back into the gas pretty soon. Darlington stripe count number 4. And the first one off of turn 2 for Dale Jr. 2015. Okay, so that was the first time. I don't think he was with an affiliation with Joe Gibbs Racing at that time. You guys would have to correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't think he was. Or the Furniture Row team was in general. I don't think they were affiliated yet with Gibbs. Junior pushing a bit wide off the exit of turn 2 again. Kenza dominating the early going of the Southern 500. He has not won yet this season. But Roush has been on it. Of any of the organizations on this NASCAR 06 season, I want to say that Roush as an organization has probably been the fastest. Edwards has a couple wins. Biffle won the Daytona 500. Obviously finishing second and third at Talladega between Edwards and Kurt Busch. I don't think Kurt Busch has won a race this season. And Edwards is running even really well in the Busch Series races. Has 3 wins there. He's definitely the driver to beat for the championship. Can't tell who this car is right in front of Dale Jr. Oh, it's Kyle Busch with a little bit of an alternative Kellogg's paint scheme. Busch and Edwards, a couple rookies right in front of Dale Jr. right now. Can't really go down to the apron too much anymore if you're Dale Jr. He's gotten loose a couple times. He's gotten there and got into the wall off turn 2 a few laps ago as well. At this point in the run with 45 plus laps on these guys' tires, they are praying for a caution somewhere on the racetrack that doesn't involve them so they can pit You get 4 fresh Goodyears back on this car because 70 laps is a long run at Darlington. And this is a very worn out surface, very similar to the worn out surface that Darlington has nowadays in NASCAR as well. A lot of people tend to say the intermediate style racing very similar between the next gen and the Gen 4, so that style of racing you saw at Darlington earlier this year, probably the style of racing we're going to see tonight as well. Appreciate that, Patrick. I just try to do it too, just because I think it's better the more people that do it. I don't want to talk about them. Just try to ignore them. Dale Jr. underneath Carl Edwards. He's kind of picking up a second win. He was stalled out at 15th for a little bit. Now he's moved himself to 12th if he can get around the 99. Another rookie. Travis Quaffle right in front of the 8 of Dale Jr. And to the inside of Quaffle goes Earnhardt. 50 laps in. To say, 50 laps at Darlington to go from last to 11th is pretty impressive for Dale Jr. right now. Just outside the top 10. Elliott Sadler in the 38 car in that 10th position right in front of him. I think Dale Jarrett's in 9th, so Robert Yatefords at times have looked really strong this year also. You win a prize. 25 people watching right now. Thanks for everybody tuning in. Trying to make history with Dale Jr. getting him his first Southern 500 victory tonight. Trying to go for 3 wins in a row on the Cup Series season. On our Do It for Dale series. And right now, I have to say, who would have thought we were going to win at Talladega in that dramatic fashion by 1/1000th of a second over Carl Edwards in a 3-wide finish, not to mention just about, probably if I had to guess, 3 or 4 thousandths of a second back was Kurt Busch in 3rd, who was on the outside lane at the finish. Top 6 all finished within a couple tenths of a second. Darlington stripe number 5 for Dale Jr. Cut across with Edwards, and we have a caution. Caution is out. Jr. got the wall. When he was trying to steer off the wall, he turned right into the side of Edwards. Both cars slid, and I think they both saved it for the most part. Edwards ended up in the wall, but I think he'll be all right. I think Mark Martin was on pit road and had blown an engine earlier in the race. A tough break for a Roush car. And we have our first yellow. Cars are gonna hit pit road. The problem for Dale Earnhardt Jr., and I'm gonna be fair with myself, because he was involved in the accident, he cannot pit for fuel or tires here. And can't make any adjustments. 3.8 seconds of damage. Darlington stripe number 5. .50-lap green flag run comes to an end to start today's race. Random wedge adjustment. Junior's going to end up getting 5 bonus points for leading laps. Not the way he would wanted to try and do this. Kind of similar to the Busch Series race last night. And I think Carl Edwards cycled out to 2nd place during the pit stops. Green flag back in the air. Coincidentally, the 2 involved in the yellow. A lot of spots gained for Edwards with a 4-tire stop, too. Looks to the outside, off turn 2. Junior slides up right in front of him. Be careful not to mirror drive too much if you're Dale Jr., but on this old of tires, there's no way he is going to be able to hold on to this lead for a very long time. Just has to risk not wrecking the car. Maybe we get a caution. And the stack up after the restart, Junior can pit for tires then. At least he stayed out. He was able to get 5 bonus points. Right front starting to go away on the 8. So the first laps, Matt Kenseth has not led today. His team must have had a pretty slow pit stop. Edwards back to the inside of Kevin Harvick for second place into turns 3 and 4. Track position for Dale Jr. Saw last night when he led, his car was handling probably better than any other portion during the night. Edwards to the outside into turns 1 and 2. Earnhardt on the bottom. Holds his ground, and he's cleared off turn 2. Holds on to the lead as Harvick and Edwards nearly make contact as they battle again for second from behind. Junior way up the track. Just kept it off the wall. Chopped off Harvick, and we have another wreck. Harvick involved. He's in the wall. And again, that was Junior who caused it. Our second caution of the race. Junior made an aggressive move that did not pan out there, and Harvick paid for it. And Jeff Gordon got a piece of it as well. And that is not at all what Dale Jr. wanted. I'm going to penalize myself for that one. Bring it on in. 3.4 seconds of damage. Junior kept it off the wall. He went up the track just a little bit. And that natural racing line of diamonding the corner off like that would have been alright any other time, but because Harvick had a nose underneath Earnhardt, Earnhardt turned across him, and Harvick again paid the price for it. Into the wall he went. Gordon also got a piece of Harvick as he came back down the racetrack. So back-to-back cautions now. The first 2 times today. At some point, Junior's still going to have to pit for fuel and tires. It looked like he was going to be able to go around 70 laps originally. Ran a few cautions, under a few cautions, so he might be able to go a little bit further than that now. Harvick in the lead for the first time today. This will get his spot back. The green flag is back in the air again. Long race to go. Dale Jr. starting to pick up the aggression just a bit too quick. Yeah, I see your comment, Derek. A lot of people have already commented about that. I'm punishing myself. If I'm being fair, if I'm bringing out the yellows, even though I didn't actually wreck in it, I spun the last 2 cars out, Edwards and now Harvick. I brought out the caution flags, and I'm not going to pit for fuel or tires. And punishing myself. I cycled the lead though because everybody pitted during the first yellow, but nobody pitted during caution number 2. The idea is now is hoping that a caution comes out before Junior has to pit again, or we just cycle all the way through the next set of pit stops, and Junior can make up time with fresh tires. So as of right now, he's about 5.7 seconds off the lead, so that's what we would be looking at interval-wise to get Dale Jr. back into this race. I'm sure he can gain that much time over a long enough green flag run on fresher tires to cycle back into the lead. Contact between Kenny Schrader and Shane Neal off of turn 4. Junior's still getting around the back marker cars on older tires. Oh, Schrader just got a Darlington stripe as he brushed the wall off turn 2. Dale Jr. quickly gets underneath him. Slides up high, a little slide job, and will complete the pass cleanly on Schrader through 3 and 4. Keegan to the 78, Mark DeMars to the 10. How does he get the Stuart Haas car and I get the Live Fast car? How did you decide that, Nathan? Not that either one of us earned either one, but I'm disappointed with that. How about we both go to the 10 and he could be my crew chief? Make it fair. The only reason I'm the driver is because I have little racing experience. my quarter midget days, go-kart days, growing up. Been a little bit. Oh, contact with Jeremy Mayfield. Junior's going to go one more lap. He'll pit at lap 70. Just in case we get a caution. So far has not stricken. Since the first two have come out at least. Junior with a deep dive into 1 and 2. Actually held on to it pretty well, and he'll clear Labonte for 33rd off turn 2. Dale Jr. will be pitting this time by 5.2 seconds off the lead as he goes to the bottom. It's going to be a 4-tire stop, green flag conditions. First stop of the day for Dale Jr. Has to make sure he doesn't speed now coming into the pits, and he does not. Gets down there. One of the toughest pit roads to get onto in all of NASCAR. 15.3 seconds will be the estimated time on pit road. Shadley Schneider Racing in 2025. I don't have the money to buy the next gen car, so hopefully with your name being first before mine, that means that you're going to be doing all the expenses. So this is going to put Junior a lap down. Now he will be the only car a lap down. His leaders never got to lap traffic before the first yellow came out right around lap 50. Plus, Patrick, there's no charters available as far as I know right now, and I don't feel like coughing up $10 million plus for that either. Imagine trying to go to the bank and being like, hey, can I get a loan for like $10 million? I'm trying to buy a charter so I can start a NASCAR Cup Series team. Junior all on his own right now with the 4 fresh Goodyears. Take our first field pass of the race today. We'll get to the start-finish line this time by. And we'll take a look at what Martin Truex Jr. in the number 1 car is doing. Currently on the racetrack. And right now Truex is back in the 20th position. Bottlenecked in some pretty heavy traffic. Ooh, Truex got a little loose off turn 2. He's going to get a Darlington strike before we even got control of him. There's his teammate Michael Waltrip right behind him. And about 4 laps of Truex, then we'll go back to Waltrip. Truex definitely feels as if he's got a looser setup. Dale Earnhardt Jr., probably why he's back, halted in this 20th place position right now. A lot better and smoother through 3 and 4 that time. Of course, his tires are a little older than Dale Earnhardt Jr. right now as well. How many spots Truex can gain over the next couple laps? Where we go and drive as Michael Waltrip. Truex under Jimmy Johnson, Jeff Green. Now underneath the 77 of Quaffle. A lot of cars giving Truex a bit of room right now. Bit of a stack up. Turns 3 and 4 and a bump and run to get around Nemechek. Slowing up on the backstretch. Holding the inside line as he was looking to maybe make a move on Dale Jarrett. Truex inside the top 15 now. We'll go back to Michael Waltrip in the number 15. He was in 23rd. Lost a couple spots from when we last saw him in 21st. I feel like I could be a good race strategist, but like I'm not good enough of like a mechanic to be a crew chief. But I feel like if you put me up there as like a race strategist, I feel like I can make my way around it. I'm good with math. I feel like I can figure out all the telemetry data and everything that I can try to strategize and put together a good strategy to put the driver in the best situation. That's part of the crew chief's role. But all the stuff like during the week, prepping the race cars and stuff, I wouldn't know much about that. Jeff Green, Michael Waltrip, a couple rivals with one another. It'll be interesting when Waltrip gets alongside Green. If he gets alongside of him, of course. I'm sure he's going to get a shot at it. Waltrip looking low. Off turn 4. I think he's going to be on the inside of Jeff Green going into turn 1. Green taking a swing at him. He turns Waltrip into the wall. Goes Michael Waltrip. Third caution of the race today. Looks like Ricky Rudd's got some big damage on his car. I don't think it was from that accident. So Jeff Green turns Michael Waltrip. And Rudd actually got in the back of Newman, which gave him that damage as they try to check up to keep it off the 43 and the 15, who ended up in the outside wall. Rang out the third yellow of the day. That was kind of uncalled for from Jeff Green. And now Waltrip's going to have to pit. And he's got to go to the tail. Should get Dale Jr. his lap back with the free pass. And now Waltrip's going to be right there with him. 4.1 seconds of damage for Waltrip as he hit the outside wall pretty hard going into turn 3. Green. Michael Waltrip's had a frustrating season so far. Oh no, Mikey, yeah. Not as fast of a car as the last couple of races, but he's going to have to try to fight himself forward from the back. Luckily, Dale Jr.'s stayed out of trouble. Michael Waltrip, on the other hand, has not. Jr. caused a couple accidents, but he wasn't really involved in any of them. And now you got 2 of the 3 DEI cars at the tail end of the field as the green flag is going to be back in the air. Jeff Green has turned Michael Waltrip in the 15 car, bringing out caution number 3 in this race. Stinking Jeff Green, yeah. Waltrip in the Wimmer. Fishtailing down the backstretch, just trying to catch his car. They'll let Dale Jr. go going into turn 3 before Waltrip gets involved in another accident. Pushing a bit too hard. Trying to get all of his spots back at once. We'll go back to Dale Earnhardt Jr., who's just up ahead of Michael Waltrip. Not a great start in the first 100 laps of the Southern 500 for DEI right now. Kevin Harvick out in front. Coming off the top 5 at Talladega in the last race is Harvick. And caution's out, big debris. Do you guys see how high that debris flew in the air? I think that went into the stands. I want to see the replay. You can't see it. I don't know if like cars were hitting it, and that's what caused it to fly so high in the air. But if you rewind it back, I saw it flying like probably 100 feet in the air. You just see the debris. As Ricky Rudd's hood has fallen off, bringing out the caution flag. We'll see if anybody will pit this time. This is our 4th yellow of the race now. Junior will pit. He's at the rear of the field. Might as well. There's no tire limit in the Cup Series. And he's going to get ahead on the pit strategy a little bit with this strategy call. No adjustments. 4 tires. Going to top off. That's a big break for Dale Jr. 19 likes on the stream already. Thanks for everybody tuning in. Hitting that like button. I think we've had as many as about 25 viewers watching at one point in time during this race today. Our NASCAR 06 Southern 500. Second pit stop of the day for Dale Jr. as he is pitting during caution number 4. Everybody else has only pitted once, and it was all the way back during the first caution of the race. So here we go. Green flag back in the air. First 100-degree weather day today. Yeah, it's going to be really hot, 97, 99. That's what they're calling for me the next 2 days. I got to work, too. It is going to be hot. Up to 21 likes on the stream now. Thank you. We might actually... let's have a goal. Let's go 50. Let's go 50 likes tonight. Off to a great start with that. Thank you for everybody hitting that like button. Helps these streams out a ton. So Dale Jr. on fresher tires didn't take off well in the restart. That's something he has struggled with off and on this season. And honestly, something that the Busch Series race last night he did not struggle with. Drop Waltrip back behind Dale Jr. Make for an easy pass for Earnhardt to get around his teammate. That'll work. Quickly on the inside of John Andretti. Kind of rubbed alongside of Andretti to get around him. See if Truex can kind of hold this pack up a little bit. Dale Jr. has ran as high as 11th place. He hasn't... I guess he led laps under the caution flag and immediately after restart because of not pitting earlier in the race. So I guess he has led. But on normal race strategy, he has been as high as 11. Now this strategy could play out if we get a long green flag run because Dale Jr. pitted during that last caution when nobody else did. We have had 4 yellows in the first 100 laps, though. Most cautions ever in the Southern 500 is 18. And that was in 2015. I don't know what the record would have been as of the 2005 season. And our record for the most cautions on NASCAR 06 is 13 in a Busch race at Texas. Most cautions in a single Cup race on the season is 11. It took place at Phoenix a couple races ago. Ryan Vickers with a big block on Dale Jr. on the front straightaway. Jr. going to try to back up the entry into turns 1 and 2 and get around Vickers this way. Harvick is really getting away right now on the track map, at least it seems. And outside of the 5 Darlington stripes for Earnhardt in the first 100 laps, contact a little bit with Harvick and Edwards at one point in time, he has really kept this race car clean. And he's had a couple of sketchy moments for sure, but I think everybody has sketchy moments from time to time at Darlington. It's just the norm. Earnhardt's only 4.7 seconds off the lead. And again, he does have fresher tires than the rest of the field right now, too, with pitting during that caution. I had to guess he's probably on green flag laps, got about 20 or so lap fresher tires. Maybe even a little more than that. Bit too low in the middle of the corner that time and couldn't make the pass around Kenny Wallace in the 0-0. Slides up in line to hold himself in front of Jimmy Spencer in the 50 to hang on to 31st. Now back to the inside of Wallace again. Truex was in the top 15 last we saw of him when we had our first field pass of the race today. Welcome to the stream, Tyler Burbeck. Can't tell if that's thunder or not. I know we're supposed to get some thunderstorms at my house tonight. I was hoping I'd get this stream in before they came. I don't know if that's the dogs running through the house downstairs or what that is I'm hearing. We've lost power. Oh, there's the Darlington stripe off turn 4. We've lost power once during a stream in 2 years on this channel, so I will say we've had a pretty good track record streaming as often as we do of not losing power, but I'm just putting that out there. And it was kind of a power surge, like I lost power for like 2 minutes and then it came back on. We were able to get the stream back up and running within a few minutes. I think it is the dogs running because I hear them barking down there. Cup race in person is fantastic. 75% capacity. Yeah, it looked bare at certain areas of the racetrack, but at the same time, I don't know how much of the seating was available all the way around the track because there was some signage and stuff. They've done that at a few tracks over recent years. But it definitely looked like the main grandstands, and like there were some turns that were pretty packed. For sure. Bit of a stack up in the middle of 3 and 4. And Kenseth's all the way back mid-pack right now. Dale Jr. underneath Bobby Labonte. Drove it in deep into 1 and 2, and he clears them. Nice little 3-wide pass. Pressure tires will allow Dale Jr. to make that kind of a move happen. Now he's quickly underneath the 10 of Scott Riggs. Ricky Rudd towards the outside. Oh, contact up in front of Dale Jr. between Mike Bliss and Ryan Newman. Allowed for Mayfield and Dale Jr. to get down to the bottom and pass a couple cars through 3 and 4. Truex on the outside lane right now. Another stack up in the middle of the corner. That one costed Junior, though. They're still stacking up quite a bit. 3 wide off turn 4. No contact, though. Mike Bliss in the middle. Ryan Newman and Dale Jr. the inside and outside of him. Bliss hanging onto that middle lane. Jr. still hanging in there down low. Matt Kenseth's now on the outside. Will they make it off the edge of the corner? No, they won't. There's a crash off of turn 2. I wondered if that was going to work or not. That's going to hurt the 8 car's potential speed and strategy, for that matter, as that might bring the field to pit road. With caution number 5. 3 wide at Darlington doesn't typically work. It worked a couple laps ago. It did not work that time. This game, I swear this game really baits you into being more aggressive than you want to be, because that seems to be the case anytime I get in an accident. Most of the time I get in an accident. Not every time, most of the time. And yep, the field will be on their way in, per usual. Junior cannot pit for fuel or tires being involved in the accident. 4.9 seconds of damage now, nearly 5 seconds. That was never going to work, yes, I know. I was 3 wide. I made it off the exit of the corner before that, and I was lucky enough to do that without any contact, and I thought that maybe I could make it one more corner, and that just did not work. Slid up the track a bit too much, and there was no room after that. Junior's going to gain quite a few spots on pit road, just repairing damage. We'll see if he wins the race out of the pits. He does not. Jeff Gordon will win the race off pit road with his 4-tire stop. Now Junior's going to be on older tires. Well, Jason Leffler with a fast stop in that number 11 FedEx Chevrolet for Joe Gibbs Racing, the rookie, up to 3rd in Darlington. Green flag back in the air. Dale Jr. going to look to the inside of Gordon going into turns 1 and 2. Junior on older tires, not going to get the grip, though, in the middle of the corner, and Gordon hangs on the outside. And Edwards looking low off turn 2 on Leffler for 3rd. I am lucky I didn't DNF there. Edwards clear up to 3rd. Looks like Kurt Busch, his teammates, in 5th, right behind Leffler now off turn 4. Fast stop for a couple of the Roush cars. Edwards has finished in the top 10 every race this season. He's the only driver that has finished in the top 10 every race. Through 9, also has 6 top 5s with his 2 wins through 9 races as well. Back-to-back runner-up finishes for Edwards. So we talked about Dale Jr. winning the last 2 races. Well, Edwards finished 2nd in both of those. And even on about 20 to 25 lap older tires, Dale Jr. is hanging in there on Jeff Gordon right now. Junior's got to be careful not to push it too hard. He's done that a couple times already. Somewhat bit the bullet for it, all things considered. Sonoma had way better Wi-Fi than some Cup tracks in the Cup Series. Well, that's nice to hear. I never use the track Wi-Fi. I feel like it never works at most tracks. They just go off of mobile data. It's going to be tough to get around Gordon. Not only Gordon has the clean air, but again, fresher tires and Dale Earnhardt Jr. Pretty good exit to turn 4, though, for Earnhardt. And he's got a run on Gordon going into turns 1 and 2. Diving it way down to the inside. Can't get underneath him. These two are pulling away right now. Junior hasn't really intentionally ran the outside today. He's thinking about doing it. Trying to build up enough momentum to maybe get alongside Gordon and then pass him on the inside. So he's struggling to actually get underneath him right now. Wade Solinsky, welcome to the stream. So here we go, Junior to the outside through 3 and 4. We'll see if that's going to work. Nope, that did not work. That is very hard. Trying to run the outside of Darlington in this game. And that costed Dale Jr. a little bit of time, and that is also going to pick up his 6th Darlington stripe of the race as well. Five of them in turns 3 and 4. They got in the wall once. Laid in a tire stent off of turn 2 earlier. So everybody's pitted twice for fuel and tires now. Because Earnhardt did it first. It's probably going to be the first one onto pit road unless we have a long enough green flag run that everybody pits during the next one. I do not want to ruffle any feathers right now, Wade. We saw last night Junior got taken out by Bobby Labonte. We already saw Michael Waltrip get taken out by Jeff Green earlier, too. You're planning on trying to make a clean pass. He just doesn't have the tires that Jeff Gordon has. So vital for Gordon to win that race off pit road to get him in this opportunity. These guys are really pulling away from everybody right now. Gotta give props to Dale Jr. Going to try the outside again through 3 and 4. He can get it to stick one of these times. It might work. It worked that time. Now he cuts it down to the bottom off the exit of the corner. But again, Gordon going to hang on. Junior going to go to the outside through 1 and 2. Nope, nope. Not this time. Carried that momentum that he had off turn 4. Just can't get to the inside of Gordon. Try to dime in the corner off this time. Good little battle for the lead. Junior hasn't tried the top through 1 and 2. He tried it twice in 3 and 4. Once he got in the wall, and the other time he had a great run. Nearly got to the inside of Gordon. Thing is, though, I don't think Junior's going to pull away from him if he does get around him. Again, Junior up high through 3 and 4. Carries the momentum off the exit of the corner. Looks low. Gordon's still there. Going back to the outside through 1 and 2. Not as high as he ran through 3 and 4. It's kind of more the middle lane. Gordon ran that same line, putting Dale Earnhardt in the dirty air. That didn't really do much for Dale Jr. that time. Junior may get underneath him this time. This is probably as close as Dale Jr. has been. Going into turns 1 and 2, he'll drive it in deep. Down on the bottom of the racetrack. But again, Gordon holds on to the lead. Barely. Earnhardt trying to look to the inside. Just can't get there on the 24 car right now. These two are putting the pedal to the metal. Still in the first half of this race. Again, we've seen 5 cautions so far in the Southern 500 today. Junior on about 20 to 25 lap older tires hanging in there, down on the bottom. He's not getting overly loose on the apron right now, and I'm kind of surprised. Every time he goes down there trying to make a move on Gordon. Here he goes again through 3 and 4. Junior is there. Now he's on the inside of Gordon. Trying to side draft him off the exit of turn 2, but Gordon gets the run off the high side and off the banking. And again, holds on to the lead through 3 and 4. Junior to the outside, going to try to build up more momentum. Cuts it down towards the bottom off the exit of the corner. If this doesn't take you to a flashback of 2005, watching Dale Jr. and Jeff Gordon battle for the lead, I don't know what will. And And Earnhardt going to take the dive into 3 and 4. Again, looking really low. It's right there. Just can't complete the pass. He keeps getting alongside of him, and that's about it. Gordon's just got a little bit more straightaway speed than Dale Jr. Jr. might have the cornering down. If they were on equal tires, I think the 8 would definitely be able to get around him. Gordon running defensive lines probably helping the 24 as well. That's the clean air advantage, though. Junior with another big run. Oh, he got into him just a little bit. Is it enough? Into 3. Still side by side for the lead. Earnhardt, Gordon, 2 by 2. Junior lifted. He didn't think he could hold it off turn 4. He didn't want to wreck himself and Gordon. And had to lift off turn 4 that time and break the momentum. Sometimes it's better to work smarter and not harder, and in that case, Dale Jr. played the smart game, and he'll try to build this momentum back up, try to run Gordon down again. I wonder how much of his tires he's burning up. He's already got 20 to 25 lap older tires than Gordon as it is to get this track position. Gordon still won the race off pit road. That's the difference right now. Junior's running him right back down again, though. .281 that last lap for Earnhardt. Pretty fast speed. Over halfway through the fuel and tire stint for himself. All over the back of the 24 on the back straightaway as they go into turns 3 and 4. On the inside of Gordon. Gordon might have gotten a bit tight. Junior trying to side draft the 24 into turns 1 and 2. Way down on the bottom. Gonna go up the hill. Trying to squeeze the 24 and force him into a mistake. Oh boy! We're racing now. I don't know if these guys are going to be able to keep this up after a while. Earnhardt not backing down from the fight. Never won a Southern 500 in his NASCAR Cup Series career. Trying to go for 3 wins in a row. Gordon squeezes Earnhardt that time through 1 and 2. Off turn 2! Boy, oh boy, Junior's just letting it really hang out on the inside. He was being a little more lenient with Gordon a few laps ago, not so much over the last 2 laps or so. We got ourselves a race, yes indeed. I would not have been able to do this at Darlington last night in the Busch race. This car's handling so much better. So the advantage of having another race at the track back-to-back nights, it's just whatever series I end up doing first, that's the one I tend to struggle in. The first time at the track until we get back to that same track later in the season. That hasn't been the case in any series so far. Every race has been for the first time at that specific track. And we've got Richmond up next on the Cup and Busch schedule, with Charlotte still to come up next in the truck schedule. Junior looking low again underneath Gordon. Desperately trying to get there. Side by side, nearly off turn 2. The only reason this is a battle, though, again, is because Junior's on about 20 lap older tires. If he and Gordon were on equal tires, I think the 8 would have gotten around him by now. What a battle. Junior hasn't even led a lap in this transition. He's got alongside of him a handful of times, just can't clear him. Might have to start side drafting him a little. Oh no! Gordon's in the wall off turn 2. They saved it. Earnhardt's in the lead. I don't think Gordon's going to be very happy with Dale Jr.'s move that time. I was wondering if something like that was going to happen. And Earnhardt's got about a 2.3 second lead over Gordon, who is in second, and he hit the wall pretty good. Hated to see that happen. But Dale Jr. leads, and we stay green. Jr. never caused a caution, which is good. It's going to allow him to lead laps, and he better hope Gordon doesn't run him down. Lap traffic anytime soon, but again, Jr. has a little older tires, and the longer the run goes, obviously his tires are going to wear out more than Gordon's, and I think Gordon may get back to him at some point before pit stops. Well, especially if Earnhardt slides up into the wall like he did that time through 1 and 2. That's Darlington stripe number 7. Crowd roars with excitement. Ah, never mind, yeah. I think, could you imagine, though, if that actually happened? Packed crowd at Darlington, Southern 500 under the lights, and Earnhardt accidentally gets into Gordon of all drivers. That place would be going nuts. Be like, yeah, do it again. Put him in the wall. That wasn't taking the air off the rear spoiler, by the way. That was just flat out accidentally getting into the left rear corner panel and knocked Gordon up into the wall. But he's charging back quickly on Dale Jr. Jr. just does not have the tires. He's into the final quarter of his stint. Again, with having 20 lap older tires, he's going to have to pit first, so he's going to really hope that everybody ends up cycling through in hopes that by the time he pits, and then the field comes in 20 to 25 laps after him, he can put enough of a gap over the leaders on those much fresher tires. Would be the strategy call from here. I can imagine how the crowd would react, but that would just be insane. I feel like you'd be able to feel the bleachers shaking. Holiday Lawrence, welcome to the stream. Ooh, yep, there's another Darlington stripe. Gordon gained a lot of time that time through 1 and 2, and the lead's cut down to just a couple car lengths, and Gordon still has a massive run into turn 3. Why do I like to race this much? Are you asking me about like this season in NASCAR, if I'm liking the racing, or might have to rephrase that question a little bit? Or if you're asking why I like to race so much with the full length races, I just like how it plays out like a real race majority of the time with strategy and all that. Really opens up the playbook, and with doing the realistic commentary live streams like this, Earnhardt's fishtailing all over the backstretch as he got loose off turn 2 again. Gordon to the outside, looking for the lead. Earnhardt's tires are really starting to get out from underneath him now. Can Jeff Gordon complete the pass? Still side by side for the lead, into 1 and 2. Junior not going to let Gordon go without a fight. Squeezes him just a little bit. No contact, though. And Junior's tires are starting to fall off a cliff right now. Gordon's back out in front. Yeah, my cousin, Earthquake. Yeah, you're right. I think that's Harvick back there in third. The 8 and the 24 started to pull away, but then when they started battling a little bit harder, it's allowing third place to slowly creep in. It's not him. I think it's Edwards. I thought he restarted towards the front. That last restart. Yes, meaning the racing this year? Well, I pretty much answered the other question already. As far as like this year's racing, yeah, I'm really liking it. I wish there was fewer cautions. I think there will be over time for sure. It's just kind of a, I mean, it's a new car. The drivers will become accustomed to it. You're not going to see 10 plus cautions every intermediate race in years going forward. So that'll die down. And I'm really hoping that the tires can start to get situated so we're not seeing as many blown tires. That's probably the biggest thing I've had a problem with. But that doesn't really fall, I think, on the teams as much. As far as tire failures with the left rear, especially like we've seen on the intermediates this season. Man, another Darlington stripe. Is that number 9? 9th wall pop of the race for Dale Jr. But outside of those, things that I talked about, the racing has been really good this year. The races I've gone to in person, I've seen this year alone some crazy moments like the Dirt Bristol finish, and Denny Hamlin, Ross Chastain's feud at Gateway was pretty entertaining. Daytona 500 was a great spectacle this season. It was a great race. Auto Club was a great race this year. Even Atlanta overachieved my original expectations for it with their repaved and reconfiguration. Junior towards the end of his line right now. He's going to have to pit very, very soon. Less than 1/8 of a tank of fuel left. And he's about a half a second behind Gordon. Just trying to stretch this run out as far as he can. He'll go a couple more laps, and that'll bring it in. Probably looking about lap 160 is going to be the pit stop for Dale Jr., so he'll go 2 more laps. He'll pit from second place. Being this close to the leader, this is going to be ideal for Dale Jr. When he gets fresher tires again for about 20 laps or so, we'll have nearly 50 lap fresher tires than Gordon. Or we get a caution. That would be maybe pretty well put for Dale Jr. as well, as long as it happens before Junior pits, so that everybody comes to pit road. And they'll all be put back on the same strategy, and Junior will have the track position that way as well. Track position on equal strategy or a big lead on a different strategy is the idea going forward the rest of this race for this number 18. Stay out this time. Will pit the following time by. He's made 1 green flag stop today. Everybody else is pitted during a couple different caution periods. This will be the 3rd stop of the day for Junior. He'll be the first one to make his 3rd stop. All 4 tires in the yellow. Off turn 2 on the tire wear indicator, but Earnhardt will be on his way in this time. Tough, narrow pit road at Darlington to get onto. Earnhardt trying to keep control right now, and he'll easily get to pit road speed. A lot better that time getting onto pit road than the first time. No adjustments, 4 tires and fuel for Dale Earnhardt Jr. I think the fresh Goodyears will be enough of an adjustment of itself. I think it's 8, but I'm not sure. I know I hit the wall twice when I had the lead. I want to say I was at 7 before that. That's why I was thinking 9. It could be 8. I'll stick with 9. Again, Dale Jr., first car onto pit road. He's going to cycle out around a lot of traffic. In front of him, at least. By the time he actually gets up to speed into turn 3, he didn't have any cars around him, which was good for the rest of the field, really. And now Dale Jr., oh, contact. Looked like a couple Dodges got together at Jeff Green and Casey Mears off turn 4. The Junior's got fresher tires, and the bad part is all the traffic in front of him hopefully doesn't hinder the fresh tire advantage Junior has right now. Now Green just got in the wall off turn 2. Got in the Mears the corner before that, and then he got into the wall that time. Seen quite a few drivers do that today. Dale Jr. is the only car one lap down right now, and then Mark Martin's the only driver out of the race. Junior looking low, 3 wide, underneath Mears and Green, into turn 3. Junior feels confident with those guys on older tires and him on much fresher tires that he can complete the pass, and that will be the case this time. Team orders here for Waltrip to try and block this may allow Dale Jr. to have some more cars in between himself and Waltrip right now. Oh, contact! Junior tried to clear Vickers on the backstretch. He wasn't clear. Side by side, right behind the 15. Might help out a little more. There's a lot of traffic right now. Dale Jr. is around. Oh, Waltrip gets into the side of Kenny Wallace in the 0-0. That stacked him up big time. Remember, Waltrip owns that number 0-0. It's like Waltrip Racing. It's Kenny Wallace. Used to race NASCAR 06. It was really good. Awesome. I'm definitely better in the Cup Series, it feels like. Cups and Truck, I am struggling in the Busch side, though. I'm 15th in points there. Second in the Truck Series points, and I'm 4th in the Cup points right now. About a third of the way through the season in all 3 series. Cup side, there's a chase, but it's a season-long points format in the Busch and the Truck, so I don't really like my odds in the Busch Series being... I think I'm 369 points out of first right now. A lot of drivers in between me and first. Yeah, I agree with you on that one, Billy. That's definitely been an exciting part so far, is the parity in the field. How many different winners we've seen this year. Sure, we'll still have more to come. Junior lifting a bit on the front straightaway to keep it off the back of Jeff Burton in the 31. I'll dive underneath him through 1 and 2. Again, Junior on much fresher tires. I don't know how much time he's picking up in heavy traffic. He's pretty much had heavy traffic every lap since he came off of pit road. Once he gets around the 36 of Boris said, I think he'll be all right. Get underneath him off of turn 4 this time, and if he clears him through 1 and 2, which he should, he'll have a little bit of space to work with in front of him, and he can really start to pick up some of that time. He was 0.4 of a second off the lead from Gordon. Well, never mind. He overdrove 1 and 2 trying to get around set, and he's in the wall. The 10th Darlington stripe of the race. Just had to let the car come to him, and I think he was going to clear Wallace easily that time, and just overstepped it just a tad. Hey, I have not had to make a green flag set of stops yet today, so if they do so, we'll see if we'll stay caution-free. And Dale Jr. needs it to stay caution-free, being a lap down right now, pitting early. Toxic Young Boy, welcome to the stream. Good evening to you as well. And it sounds like some of the leaders will be on their way in this time, and Gordon is going to be the first of them to pit from the lead. Dale Jr. is going to let the 2 and the 36 go just in case they pit. And they did not pit that time. He just didn't want to be on the inside and then have them take out the 8 of Earnhardt. Martin Truex Jr. is on pit road as we speak. And Jr. trying to play it safe right now, even though he's holding himself back at traffic on fresher tires again. Carl Edwards leading his first laps of the race today, getting 5 bonus points. Good for him. Black Superman, welcome to the stream. And there goes Wallace and Set into the pits simultaneously. So again, in the middle of green flag pit stops right now. That's why Dale Jr. is in 42nd. He was the first car to pit for the 3rd time today. Jeff Gordon was the 2nd. Those were the 2 leaders, and that's probably why Gordon pitted, knowing Jr. pitted well before him. We'll see how far ahead Jr. may be ahead of Gordon. I'd have to imagine 0.4 of a second gap between Earnhardt and Gordon is enough for Dale Jr. to cycle to the lead. He pitted at lap 160. Gordon pitted at lap 173, so about 13 lap difference between Gordon's stop and Earnhardt's stop. LGBT NASCAR fan, welcome to the stream as well. 22 likes on the stream. Be sure to hit that like button if you haven't already. If you're new, subscribe for more daily NASCAR content. Live race commentary, live streams for real races on the race weekend. Video game races during the week. Caution's out. I saw some smoke. One car is... Oh, man, there is heavy damage down there. A bunch of debris on the pit road entrance. One car got into the tire barriers on pit road. The 147 hit him initially. Then Jamie McMurray piled into the back of him, as well as Matt Kenseth. A 3-car accident on the entrance to pit road. Our 6th caution of the day. And that is going to trap Dale Jr. a lap down. A lot of the field's going to get trapped a lap down with that caution. That is unbelievable. And Dale Jr. is just going to pit to get back on the same strategy now. Means he pitted about 13 laps before everybody. What a costly time for all those front runners who hit pit road for that caution to come out when it did. DW's booty hole smells like poop. Welcome to the stream. You've had that. I was wondering if you were going to change that name at any point in time. You've had that ever since I saw you in the chat for the first time. I guess credit where credit's due. You're consistent. Dora is fat, ugly, and stupid. Welcome to the stream. What is with some of the names in the chat? Hey, they're not vulgar, though, so I will give them that. I will give you guys that. It's borderline, but it's not quite there. So this is the 4th stop of the day. There's a lot of damage on Jamie McMurray's race car. I'm sure Kenseth had some damage. I don't know if the debris came off the 42 or if it came off of somebody else's race car. But looks like Greg Biffle's going to be the leader on the restart. Dale Jr. a lap down. Green flag back in the air. No, never mind. Junior's in the lead, I guess, on the restart. I don't know how that happened. But Dale Jr.'s out in front of Darlington. Okay. And he has fresh tires. So he's got track position and tires. I should have been a lap down. I have no clue why I'm in the lead. But I will take it. Biffle just overdrove turn 3. And now they're 3 wide off the exit of turn 4. Gordon up to 2nd. If he's on the lead lap, I don't know. He pitted before the caution too. I don't even know if Gordon's in 2nd. I don't know where anybody's at right now. Other than the fact that Dale Jr. is the leader. And I have no clue how. That caution should have trapped him, Gordon, and a lot of other cars a lap down, but it did not. Yeah, this is weird. Again, this is all following the 6th caution of the race today. This is like a NASCAR 21 ignition scoring error. But on NASCAR 06. I'm absolutely confused as well. That is definitely a glitch, yeah. Well, Dale Jr.'s got track position, and he's got clean air. I think he'll take it. I don't know how that worked, but all right. We're about midway through this race as well. Getting close to tonight's trivia question. I do not have a question set yet, so I will have to Google it. Man, this race is taking a while. I didn't realize how long we've been streaming already. It's been about an hour and a half. We're only on lap 83 of 367. Daniel Reese, welcome to the stream. Yes, I actually played NASCAR Thunder 04 on the channel. I did a playthrough series of that. That was the first of the classic games I played on the channel. And the very first NASCAR game I ever played was NASCAR Thunder 2002. I don't recall playing 03 at all. The only reason I really haven't gone out and purchased it is because from what people have told me in the chat in streams past, is that the career mode's the same as 04, so I didn't really consider, you know, buying it for that reason off channel. I don't even have 02 anymore. I just remember playing that first when I was younger. First time Dale Jr.'s had fresh tires and clean air all day today. Hungry pack of drivers behind him right now, but he's able to keep control of his race car and doesn't have any issue with what's going on currently. We'll take our second field pass of the race. We'll see what Michael Waltrip is up to as of right now, where he's at in the field. He is in 27th and currently a lap down. That is unfortunate for Waltrip. So he got trapped a lap down with that caution. I don't know why more cars didn't. Looks like Jimmy Johnson's a lap down because Waltrip just passed him for position. Ken Schrader is on the lead lap right now in the top 10. Okay, I was going to say it's also going to be a pass for position. So Waltrip trying to get into the free pass in case we get another caution. There are definitely some cars that had quite a bit of damage. We could see some debris yellows, or at least a debris yellow potentially coming up soon. We need trivia. I'll pause it as soon as I get to the next straightaway, and I'll give you guys that trivia question. Again, I'll have to look it up because I didn't have it prior to the stream. Let me get that trivia question for you guys. Look up a Darlington track fact. It's hard not to recycle through questions I know we've had in the past. Alright, so I asked you guys last night in the trivia question, what year was the most cautions in Southern 500 history? Now, I'm going to ask you guys, what was the only Southern 500 to go caution-free? Let me know down in the chat below. That is tonight's trivia question. And what year was the only Southern 500 to go caution-free? Don't spam. I mean, if you're going to answer the question also going forward in these types of questions, don't spam like year after year after year until you get it right. You can answer as many times as you want, but don't have that be a strategy, because we've had that the last couple nights, and I feel like that's just going to keep happening if I don't put my foot down. So 2020 did not go caution-free. Of course, in the stage racing era wouldn't have gone caution-free. Waltrip is all sorts of sideways, making contact with Tony Stewart. Able to save it, luckily. Not 2007, not 1974. The Key Boys welcome to the stream as well, not 08. Nathan Elliott, well, I really hope you knew that and did not guess, but Nathan Elliott will get the answer correct in tonight's trivia question. 1963 was the only caution-free Southern 500. Congrats to you getting it correct in the chat. 1963. Truex is way too low. Going into the corner. Looks like Truex is lapped down. A 3-car wreck at the pit road entrance as well. Lost about 5 spots. Back to 32nd now after overdriving turns 1 and 2. Caution's out. Likely the debris yellow we were wondering if we were going to get. Yeah, that was a great guess, Nathan. Assuming it was one. But yeah, 1963, the only caution-free Southern 500. Ask my father about it. That's how... Well, hey, there you go. Congrats to your father for knowing that. Truex is going to pit. He's a lap down. We get to make the decision here. Why not? It's our 7th yellow of the race. Debris off of Jamie McMurray's race car, who was involved in the question prior to that. Trivia question, where did Keegan's phone go? I have no clue. I wish I knew. I wish that didn't happen so I could have streamed yesterday's race, because that hurts the channel, like, analytically so bad. Because I haven't done a Cup Series stream in a while because I've been at the last couple races, so I was itching to get another one out because those are great on views and you guys really like them, and when I have streams that pop off like that, it's more likely that other content on the channel gets recommended more often, and that seems to show in the week or two after those big streams. And because I couldn't stream it yesterday because somebody has taken my phone, that I don't know. There's nothing I could have done there. And with not having a race next weekend for the Cup Series, that really hurts too. But for those of you watching, I will be doing live commentary for the Knoxville race Saturday night for the Truck Series. I'll be doing commentary for the heat race as well, the heat races, as well as the actual main event. So 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, Saturday night, Knoxville. We have another caution immediately after the restart. That did not take long. Caution is out again, our 8th of the race, another debris yellow, and this one's off of Matt Kenseth this time, who was also involved in that second-to-last wreck on the pit road entrance between McMurray, the 147, and Kenseth himself, and his hood has come off, as well as another piece of debris off the car is flown off as that happened behind the 1. Well, we're just going to have Truex pit again, I guess, top off on fuel. It's at the tail end of the lap cars as it is. Dale Jr. still out in the lead. 8 cautions in today's race. We're only 4 away from having the most in a Cup race this season. Yes, I did go to Gateway a couple weeks ago. I might as well put tires on it again. There's no tire limit in the Cup Series for ourselves. I think his Dick Award goes to Hamlin. What a meanie. Welcome to the stream. Well, Hamlin wheel hopped it, and that's what led him to get into Blaney. He locked up the right front tire and kind of power slid into the corner. Just overdrove it. But it was kind of coincidental that going to Hamlin, considering what he was complaining about the week before. Over aggressive driving from Chastain. Keegan Poole prediction, dirt, Knoxville, 17 cautions since Sonoma was basically caution-free outside of 1 red flag. Yeah, well, you might be right. Wasn't there like 12 last year, though? That's a lot in a 150-lap truck race. They had like 3 or 4 overtimes. I really hope that doesn't happen. At least it's on a Saturday night this year, so I know I won't have to work the next day, unlike last year. I did it on a Friday night, and I remember only going into work on like 4 hours of sleep. 3 wide on the restart goes Martin Truex Jr. Made it work. He's got a little bit fresher tires than the rest of the field right now. Dale Jr. still out in front. Working on the inside of a lap car following this restart. A bit of a stack up off turn 4 up ahead. Truex making up a bit of ground. Not a bad strategy for Truex to pit there, considering he is a lap down. If we get a caution in the middle of green flag stops again, we know he could stay out a bit longer and get himself back on the lead lap that way and then pit during the yellow. If we do have a similar accident to what we had a couple cautions ago with those 3 cars getting into each other, getting into the pits, 2 of them into the tire barrier at the front of pit road, like McMurray in the 147 car. Generated fantasy drivers. Little contact with Mike Bliss. From Truex trying to get himself in the free pass position as well with these fresher tires. Junior pulling away a little bit at the front of the field. I was at Gateway a couple weeks ago, by the way. Make my experience video. You're talking about the vlog? It's not done editing yet. It's hard for me to... I definitely videotaped all of it. I'm still in the editing process of it. The reason why it's not done yet, for those of you that don't know, I work 40 hours a week. This is obviously not my full-time job. This is a part-time job is the way I look at it. My full-time job, I work at a Home Depot warehouse, so I'm working at least 40 hours a week every week in a warehouse, so... Reason why, you know, these live streams really work with the channel. For that reason, I don't have a lot of time to edit videos. Plus, you guys seem to like this as well. Another reason to do it, of course. So back to Dale Earnhardt Jr. for right now. Junebug leading the Southern 500, just over 200 laps in. Almost a half a second lead over Greg Biffle in second. Let me revise my username. Alternate through the different camera angles for the first time in the race today now with Dale Earnhardt Jr. Remember, Jr. ended up pitting, it was a few cautions ago if you do remember, but he ended up pitting for 4 tires when the caution came out in the middle of green flag stops with a bunch of cars who had not pitted prior to the yellow that trapped a few drivers a lap down. About half the field, it looks like, got trapped a lap down. It's going to be interesting how exactly this is all going to play out. I know Junior's going to be able to go a little bit further than some of these other cars. Change to Hamlin's not mean. Just, yeah, the biggest dick award goes to Hamlin. We'll leave it at that. So Greg Biffle leads the Southern 500 for the first time today after Dale Jr. earned Darlington stripe number 11. Returns 3 and 4. We know the 8's got a fast car. Clean air, the car handles better, but it's so easy to step over the edge. At Darlington, the reason why Earnhardt has had 11 Darlington stripes already today. Big block by Biffle on the front stretch. Earnhardt had a run on him. Jr. kind of got out of the gas and let the 16 in. Gordon and Earnhardt had a good battle for the lead earlier. We'll see what the battle between Greg Biffle and Dale Jr. is going to look like. These guys are, for the most part, on equal tires. Somewhat fresh still. Contact with Biffle. That's going to lead to Dale Jr. getting the lead again. Contact with the 16. He didn't lose a whole lot of ground compared to Gordon a few laps prior. Or, not a few laps prior, but in an earlier battle for the lead. Charging right back after the 8. He's got a big run on the backstretch right now. He's going to go to the outside. National Guard looked better on Biffle than Earnhardt. The normal paint scheme, I'd say yes. Dale Jr. had some... I really liked some of his camouflage schemes he ran with the National Guard scheme. But as far as, like, the primary scheme with the National Guard, yeah, I do like Biffle's better. Very American-esque, of course, red, white, and blue. I think the air got taken off the rear spoiler of the 8 from the 16. Biffle's going to get back to the lead. Jr. going to try to cross him over. Not going to happen. Saw Jeff Green was the driver who was up in smoke through 3 and 4 and made his way to pit road. So Green has now DNF from today's race with an engine failure. Usually see a lot in the Gen 4 era on these 500-mile races. And it's another one yet today to DNF due to a blown motor. Junior down low. Underneath the Biff. Can't complete the pass that time. Biff will clear into 1. Gordon trying to hold back a hungry pack of cars in 3rd. Thanks for that comment, Derek. Another big run for Dale Jr. Somewhat similar battle to what we saw from Gordon and Biff a little earlier. Through 1 and 2. Look how close that left rear corner panel Dale Jr. is. Trying to get Biffle a little arrow loose now. Jr. to the outside through 3 and 4. Cuts down to the bottom off the exit of the corner. Side by side for the lead. Down the front stretch. Nose to nose. Biffle trying to block Earnhardt into 1. Didn't work that time. Oh, never mind. I guess it did. There he goes. Biffle to the inside. Dale Jr. to the inside of Greg Biffle. He got him loose. Window of opportunity for Earnhardt. Halfway through the fuel and tire stint. Through 1 and 2, still side by side for the lead. Down the back into turn 3. Biffle on the outside. Earnhardt down low. What a battle right now. Clear off turn 4. Dale Jr. to the lead in the Southern 500 at Darlington. He intimidated Greg Biffle just enough. Biffle slipped up. Jr. gets right back around him. Earnhardt maybe mirror driving right now on Biffle. Junior definitely going to stay out as long as he can before he ends up making pit stop number 5 on the day. In this case, we get another caution in the middle of green flag stops. Earnhardt going a bit wide. Biffle down low. Side by side for the lead on the front stretch, but now it's Dale Jr. on the outside. Biffle clears him. Earnhardt trying to cross over. He drives it in deep again. Trying to get to the inside of the 16. Not going to do it. Back and forth go the 16 and the 8 right now. In the second half of the Southern 500. Junior down low under Biffle. I don't think Biffle's got as much straightaway speed as Gordon had. And I think a lot of it is just because these guys are on somewhat equal tires. A little more contact. It actually stalled Earnhardt out a little bit more. Dale Jr. going to go to the outside. Gets the turn off the exit of the corner. Biffle way down low to pinch Earnhardt off with a block. Junior again on the inside. Couldn't even pull anywhere close alongside Biffle that time. Biffle hasn't won since the Daytona 500. Dale Jr. is trying to go for 3 wins in a row and 4 in a 5-race stretch if he wins this race. We give him his 5th win of the season already in the first 10 races. His 4th in points coming in. 170 out of 1st. He was only 4 points behind Jimmy Johnson in 3rd. Johnson trapped a lap down with a caution in the middle of green flag stops earlier in the race, so Junior's definitely looking like he's going to get up to at least 3rd in the standings. With a dive off turn 4, again side by side for the lead, onto the front stretch. Can Earnhardt hold underneath Biffle into 1 and 2. Down on the bottom is Dale Jr. Off turn 2, not clear yet. Now he's clear on the back straightaway. Got right back around the 16. Almost overdrove 3 and 4 though. Got a bit loose that time, and Biffle not going to be able to build up enough momentum to get back around him, and Junior gaps him through 3 and 4. Whoa, whoa, whoa. There we go. Two-car breakaway. A stiff for the Biff, and raise hail, praise Dale. Battling for the lead. Those are the fan bases, of course. Junior Nation. Still 140 laps to go in the Southern 500. Junior went a bit wide. Almost gave up too much of the bottom. Look at the pressure Biffle is putting right now on the 8. Trying to take the air off the rear spoiler of Dale Jr. It's almost working, but not quite. Remember though, Truex pitted during the last 2 cautions, so he can go further afield than anybody else. He is also a lap down though, also. So it would be all in an attempt to get back with the lead lap, not so much to take the lead. I mean, he could get back in the lead depending on how far behind the 16 and the 8 he is. 112 straight on the NHL 22. 5 points out of the wild card spot and division. How many games do you have left? I feel like you're running out of games. Sounds like a tight playoff battle. 25 likes on the stream right now. Be sure to like and subscribe for more daily NASCAR content if you haven't already. Side by side for the lead. Junior in the wall off 4. He couldn't hold the outside that time, and Biffle's going to get out in front. Junior couldn't run the bottom with Biffle down there on corner entry, and Earnhardt couldn't hold the outside all the way through 3 and 4 that time on somewhat older tires. Oh, 12 to go? Yeah, you definitely. I have faith that you can make it in. You're trying to get back underneath the biff again. Oh, contact. I don't really know. I think the 16 tried to crowd the 8 as Dale Jr. was trying to side draft the 16. Like Jr. moved up as Biffle came down. My favorite Greg Biffle win. I'd probably say when... no, he didn't win that one. Oh, no, he did. Yeah, when at Michigan when Jimmy Johnson blew an engine with like 3 laps to go. There was back-to-back years at Michigan where, and I think they were both June races, where Jimmy Johnson, he ran out of fuel, and then Biffle ran out of gas on the last lap. Johnson ran out with like 2 to go. Mark Martin won, but then there was another race there, which I think it was the next season. I want to say 2012, where Johnson was leading late, blew an engine with like 2, 3, 4 laps to go, somewhere around there, and then Biffle ended up winning. That's probably my favorite Biffle win, just because it was kind of dramatic. He wouldn't have won if Johnson's engine didn't go off like a grenade. That was one of his last wins in his career, too. Kind of similar to Bobby Labonte's final career win at Homestead when Bill Elliott blew a tire on the last lap. Junior on the inside of Biffle off turn 4. Contact. Still side by side for the lead through 1 and 2. Quarter tank of gas left. Some cars starting to pit over the last couple laps. We'll see if Biffle's going to be on his way in this time. That might end this battle for the lead, and he will. So he just cleared Dale Jr. off turn 2, and then he comes onto pit road. Dale Jr. going to stay off of the pit lane for now in case we get another caution in the middle of green flag stops. 6 laps to go. Gotcha. I knew it was really late in the race. I was thinking it was later for some reason. I trust your judgment. Your remembrance. But yeah, that's probably my favorite Biffle win. Likely going to cycle Biffle back to the lead, I'd have to imagine, if we do actually get all the way through green flag stops. For anybody wondering, how many Darlington stripes are we up to right now? Is it 11 or 12? I can't remember if I counted that last one that I had a handful of laps ago when I was battling Biffle for the lead. You know, all things considered, that's not bad in a full Southern 500 race on a NASCAR EA Sports video game. I'll take a dozen or so. Earnhardt Jr. is already back on the track, Mr. Crew Chief, sir. Mr. Tony Erie Jr. About 1/8 of a tank of fuel left for Dale Jr. now. Probably going to be able to make it right around lap 250 before he's going to pit. The second time he mentioned me. Earnhardt Jr. on the track up ahead. We are Dale Jr. Waltrip coming in. I'm sure if Truex probably hasn't pit yet because we know he can go a bit further on fuel. what Truex is hoping for caution-wise. Dale Jr.'s had to make one green flag stop today. A lot of the field has. The second set right now for most of them. Ideally, if Truex could gain so far in the running order, even if Dale Jr. could stay out to get a timely caution. Could be good. Ooh, a little contact. 147 car not giving Dale Jr. a lot of room through 1 and 2. It's 147 on much fresher tires. Still sitting at 8 cautions on the night. 4 away from the most on a Cup Series race this season. We have 4 yellows in the first 90 laps, but we haven't... I mean, we've had 4 in, what, almost 150 cents, so it's kind of spaced out, a little bit longer green flag runs. One car blowing up on the inside of the track. I don't know who it was. It looked like Jeff Green, although I thought Jeff Green already blew an engine. Looked like another yellow and light blue colored car. Kyle Busch is driving a red and black car today, so I know it's not him. Wonder if it's one of the fantasy drivers. Big lead for Dale Jr. right now. I think most of the lead lap cars have already made their way in. And in fact, they all have, except for Jr. himself, who is still out in front. So Dale Jr. has lapped the field at Darlington, but that is because he has not made pit stop number 5 yet. Trying to stretch this fuel run out as far as he can. He's going to go to lap 250 before he pits. Right, we're starting to wear out a little bit. It does seem like he's managed his tires a lot better this run than any other run throughout the course of the race so far today. Hasn't made any adjustments since the start of the race. Get some laps let in right now. Caution's out! Big timing caution for Dale Jr. as he was a couple laps away from pitting. Wow, that is exactly what he needed. Brian Vickers spins in 3 and 4. And there's Jeff Green who blew an engine on pit road. I don't know if that was earlier or most recently. Vickers just lost it on his own. Into the wall, single car spin. Caution number 9 today. And Dale Jr. can pit during the yellow flag. This should trap the field a lap down. 4 tires and fuel, no adjustments for Dale Jr. Racing 200 lap race, stick car racing on iPad. Sounds intense. Little mistake on pit road for the front tire changer on the right side of Dale Jr.'s number 8 Chevrolet. And if Jr.'s going to want to win 3 races in a row and get his first career Southern 500, that is amazing, to say the least. Looks like there's a few other cars on pit road to top off. Kurt Busch out there. We'll see where Dale Jr. will line up on the restart. He should be the leader. And he's at the rear of the field right now. In 5th, I guess. Green flag back in the air. Kurt Busch is going to be the leader on the restart. I'm not sure why Dale Jr. is this far back in the pack. He was the only car in the lead lap when the caution came out. Therefore, you would think that he would be the leader on the restart. And there would only be 2 cars on the lead lap. But the cautions have been weird in this race with the running order and the aftermath. Not sure if that's just a Darlington thing on this game or what the case is. Junior trying to go to work now. It's the first time Kurt Busch has led today, so he'll get the big break following the caution. With Junior in 5th, there are definitely a lot of cars a lap down. It's the second yellow we've had in the middle of green flag stops today. I know Truex is still on the track. I wonder where he's at in the running order. Harvick made a bit of contact with Scott Riggs. They stacked up as they were 3 wide off of turn 2, and Junior passes both of them on the backstretch. Shea Meal blocking Dale Jr. on the front straightaway as Jimmy Spencer blocks Meal. Junior going to bypass Jimmy Spencer. Not sure who the next car for position will be for Junior to try to get around. Junior not worried though, still over 100 laps to go. I don't think that single car spin from Vickers is going to result in any sort of a debris caution. Contact into the back of McMurray as he stacked up trying to keep it off the back bumper of his teammate Marlin. And we know Kurt Busch's teammate, Greg Biffle, has led laps today. Carl Edwards has also led laps, so maybe Kurt Busch has some speed in the 97 car. Got one stolen away from him in the last race. Dale Jr. making the last lap pass on Kurt Busch. And that epic 3-wide finish in the Aaron's 499 at Talladega. And Kurt Busch looking for redemption in the Southern 500 today. Ricky Craven stole a Southern 500 win away from Kurt. Not a Southern 500 win away, but a Darlington race win away in the Cup Series in 03. 400-mile spring race. Junior looking really low in through 1 and 2. Little team orders to allow Michael Waltrip to drop back now behind Dale Jr. The exit of turn 2, Junior going to get around the 15. Waltrip will duck in line behind him. Michael at least 1 lap down, maybe 2 down. Not sure how the cautions have played out for him. Little contact. Maybe somebody got in the wall. Off turn 2, saw some sparks. Junior's still in 5th. All the cars he's passed since the restart. Oh, contact off turn 4. Between Waltrip and, I believe, Casey Mears. Michael Waltrip had a lot of bad luck, it seemed like, in 2005 in real life. All things considered, coincidentally, that's rubbing off this season. That is the actual 2005 schedule. He made contact with Ricky Rudd. I know when I saw him, he was alongside Mears, so maybe they had the contact with Rudd. Allowed for Mears to get to the outside of him. That's definitely possible. Kind of saw the tail end of it out of the rearview mirror. Big crossover move from Earnhardt. Drives underneath Joe Nemechek in the 0-1. Quickly gets to the inside of Dale Jarrett in the 88 on the back straightaway. Can't stay underneath him, though, for long. Stays in line behind him. It looks like they're 3 and 4. Ooh, Jarrett really squeezing Earnhardt off turn 4 now. And a block from Casey Kane on Jarrett. See if Casey Kane can get to the inside of Jason Leffler. Not going to happen. Earnhardt moves Kane up the racetrack. Kurt Busch has led every lap since the restart so far. Closing in on 100 laps to go very soon. We can alternate through the different camera angles for the second time in today's race. For about the next dozen laps. Dale Jr. to the inside of Jason Leffler through turns 1 and 2. Leffler is on the lead lap, by the way, and in the top 5. He has really been a benefactor of the cautions we have seen during green flag pit stops on multiple occasions tonight, and Leffler having the race of his life right now. Trying to get a top 5 in the Southern 500. What a feat that would be for the 11 and the rookie at Joe Gibbs Racing. Dale Jr. battling on the inside of Kyle Busch in the 5. Wonder if Kyle Busch is on the lead lap. Could have 2 rookies get top 5s in the Southern 500 if that is the case. And looking low on the front straightaway is Dale Jr. Into turns 1 and 2. He's going to make the pass on Busch. And it is for position. Junior is clear, so Kyle Busch now back to 4th. Also getting big dividends with the caution flag so far today is Busch. Both the Busch brothers, considering Kurt's in the lead. We'll have 100 laps to go this time by the Dodge Charger Southern 500. Live on KRC tonight. Great turnout from you guys watching this race. You guys seem to be excited about it. You've stuck around. Greatly appreciate it. Upwards of 30 people watching at one point in time in today's race, and currently 26 likes. You guys knock it out of the park every night, tuning in on a nightly basis. I greatly appreciate that. Kurt Busch is definitely not pulling away from anybody at the front of the field right now. Dale Jr. just trying to find a way to get up there. He's just over a second off the lead. He's led quite a few laps already in today's race. He's going to overdrive turns 3 and 4 just a little bit. Kyle Busch almost got back underneath him, but not quite. Junior had to get around a lot of lap cars on that restart. How much tire wear he's had to go through. Should have one more pit stop the rest of this race today. It'll be the 6th and final stop when the time comes. With 2 cautions in the middle of green flag stops already. I would not be surprised if we see a 3rd at this point. Junior testing the waters on the outside. He got the wall off turn 4 as a result. Under 100 to go. It's time to push it. Still might be a little too early for that, knowing we're not quite in the final fuel window of the race yet. I know Jimmy Johnson was a lap down earlier in the race, so I'd assume he is still a lap down. Double-digit cautions 4 times this Cup Series season. We'll see if we'll have it happen a 5th time already. This year, if we just get one more caution before the end of this race, this would by far be the longest green flag run of the day of well over 100 laps. It does go caution-free to the finish. Kyle Busch losing a little bit of ground on the cars in front of him in the top 3, as well as 2 lap cars. Carl Edwards, second car in line. I wonder if he's actually in second or if he's the first car 1 lap down. If he is a lap down, his top 10 streak could be in jeopardy. He is the only driver to finish in the top 10 every race so far this season. He's had back-to-back second-place finishes to Dale Jr., who won both of the last 2 races. Edwards with 2 wins this season. Only wins on mile-and-a-halfs at Las Vegas and Texas. Jarvis 07, welcome to the stream. Oscar Ramirez Herrera, welcome to the stream as well. That's the only thing with Junior not making any adjustment changes all night too, is the fact that it creates an opportunity for other drivers to have adjustment changes that can move themselves into a situation where they can increase their speed capability in the race cars and their handling to catch up with the 8. Maybe that's why Dale Jr. hasn't led since this restart yet. Jimmy Johnson going to get around Rusty Wallace. Not sure again if that is for position or not. If so, they'll probably both be a lap down. Go back to the far chase cam for now with 91 laps to go. Wallace looking to get back to the inside of the 48 again. Top 3 all within a half a second of the lead. Instant classic of a finish at Talladega in the last Cup race. What will we see in this one? At the lady in black. Earnhardt to the outside through 3 and 4. Cuts down to the bottom, trying to get a run on Rusty Wallace off the exit of turn 4. He is there. But Wallace is going to hang on going into turn 1 at least. Drove it in really deep. Not going to be able to get back alongside of him. Edwards loses the bottom, and Jimmy Johnson's underneath him now off turn 2. Earnhardt's got a big run in third, down to the inside underneath Wallace. Edwards stuffed on the outside. Dale Jr. is up to second. I'm assuming Edwards was the one that was in second place. Johnson slid up in front of him, holding the 99 up. Edwards back down to the bottom behind Earnhardt to try to cross Jimmy Johnson over, and Dale Jr. will clear Johnson off turn 2. I set on race leader Kurt Busch. The same 3 that finished 3 wide for the win at Talladega are running 1, 2, 3 in the next race in the Southern 500 at Darlington with less than 90 laps to go. Fitting how things like that seem to work out. And here we go again. But who's going to get it done this time? Kurt Busch still looking for his first win of the year. Earnhardt and Edwards, the only 2 in the Cup Series to have multiple wins this season. Earnhardt underneath Busch for the lead through 1 and 2. Equal tires right now between all these leaders. Junior clears Kurt Busch off turn 4 and leads with 87 to go in the Southern 500. No, I don't really, honestly, I don't really care enough for F1 even to do a video game series of it. Go tune bug indeed. We'll alternate through the different drivers one final time at DEI for the rest of the race. How about Michael Waltrip? In 9th right now. What a rally this 15 car has had. Couple tough breaks already in the race. He must have been a benefactor of that last caution in the middle of green flag pit stops, because the first one trapped him a lap down. But now because more cars are trapped a lap down, he is actually in the top 10. Like Kurt Busch has gotten back around Dale Jr. for the lead again, unfortunately. And worry about that in a little bit. Whoa, Mikey, indeed. I don't think Waltrip has had a top 10 yet this season. I could be wrong on that. I'd have to recheck the season stats I've been keeping track of. No new NASCAR game this year. they're going to have a season update, I believe, in September, if I remember correctly. With this year's driver lineup and schedule. Oh, Dale Jr.'s really fallen off. What has happened to Dale Jr.? He was just battling for the lead. And now even Michael Waltrip's looking to get around him. He's not, though. He's just going to let Junior go on the backstretch and sit behind him. Junior is very slow all of a sudden. And this is problematic for the 8 car. He just got into the lead. I don't know what is going on with him right now. His pace has really dropped. Leffler looking to the outside. We're going to take a flashback to Martin Truex Jr. in the field now as Waltrip got to get around the 8 of Dale Earnhardt Jr. for the time being. And we'll see what Martin Truex Jr. is up to in the number 1 car. Truex in 6th and is actually on the lead lap right now. So all 3 DEI cars in the top 10 and 2 of them on the lead lap. And Kurt Busch leading the Southern 500. Schedule patches this month, gotcha. I know the driver lineup patch in the next gen car, I would assume, would go with that for every driver in the game for race purposes would be in September as well. Junior could have hit the wall. I mean, I know I've hit the wall with him like 12 times today. I think it's our Darlington stripe counter. We'll go back to Dale Jr. in a couple more laps and we'll stay with him the rest of the race. It's the 3rd and final driver swap of the day. But Truex is dropping like a rock right now, and he's almost 9 seconds off the lead all of a sudden after leading just a little bit ago. Truex is just going to blow around Dale Jr. for 5th, it looks like, on the front straightaway. Next lap, we'll go back to Dale Jr., and then we'll have a little bit of team orders for Truex to give his spot right back up again. Still just outside the pit window to make it to the end of the race. About 70 laps seems to be the window to make it. Dale Jr. to the inside of Martin Truex Jr. through turns 1 and 2. Clear him with a clean pass and gets right back around him for 5th place again. 9.1 seconds off the lead is Dale Jr. though. About halfway through this fuel and tire stint right now. And again, still one more stop left to the end of this race. But it is go time for Dale Earnhardt, and he's going to try to get back to the lead. With Kurt Busch and Carl Edwards who run 1 and 2. Santiago Kid, I see you in the chat. Welcome to the stream. What game and what time Wednesday night? I think NASCAR... I have the streaming schedule. I just haven't posted it yet. I want to say NASCAR... I'm not entirely sure. It's either NASCAR 06... Cup race at Richmond, or it's NASCAR 21 Ignition at Road America. And whatever one it isn't, actually, you know what, now that I think about it, I think it is NASCAR 21 Ignition at Road America, and then Thursday would be the NASCAR 06 Richmond race. Regine Huddleston, welcome to the stream. A lot of hype in this race, though, tonight. For Dale Jr. to potentially get another Crown Jewel victory, his first Southern 500, and try to win 3 races in a row on this season. A lot of traffic right in front of him right now. Maybe a couple spots per position in it. This is big time on Bobby Labonte. Couldn't get around him, though. So Labonte got to the inside of his teammate, Tony Stewart. So you're going to drive him really deep through 1 and 2 to get to the inside of the 18 now. NASCAR 21 has not been fixed yet. But I do want to get that season done at some point in time because I do plan on it. It's been a little while since we would have ran, the Pocono doubleheader was the last set of races. Probably a month and a half ago. I tried to do it from my hotel in St. Louis at Gateway a couple weeks ago, but the hotel TV wasn't working. Ended up having to cancel that live stream. I was supposed to do that and Atlanta that same weekend. I couldn't do either one. We know Jason Leffler and Kyle Busch are the next 2 cars per position up ahead. And I see Leffler at the front of this pack in 4th. Patrick Jones, welcome to the stream. I don't think I've ever played Dirt to Daytona, to be completely honest. I've been watching Winval's playthrough of that game, and kind of a hilarious playthrough so far for him. I highly recommend going to check that out if you haven't already. Junior backing up 3 and 4 to dive underneath the 9 of Casey Kane. .68 laps to go. We are definitely within the fuel window to make it to the end of the race, and I'm sure some drivers will be pitting sometime soon. Got 2 cautions in the middle of green flag stops already tonight, and both right around the halfway point and then into the second half of this race when that has happened. Junior looks low under Leffler. 1 car at least is on pit road right now as the green flag stops have opened up. Junior battling Leffler for 4th. And with Truex at 6, that means there are 3 rookies running 3rd, 4th, or sorry, well now it's 5th, 3rd, 5th, and 6th. 3 rookies run right now in the Southern 500. One of the drivers in the top 5 ahead of Dale Jr. has pit. Kurt Busch still leads, so it was either Carl Edwards or Kyle Busch that just hit pit road. Crash physics can be annoying. It is annoying, but it's also hilarious to watch at the same time. Yeah, exactly. Like you said. Absolutely hilarious if there's a crash. The crashes look super violent in that game, though. That's the crazy thing. I mean, the EA Sports games are kind of like that, but not in every crash. It seems like every crash in the Dirt to Daytona games seem very violent. Kyle Busch leads. That means Kurt Busch is just pit moments ago. Michael Waltrip will be on his way in now. Clean air back in front of the 8 of Dale Jr. So, first lap sled for rookie Kyle Busch tonight. Hoping we get a caution at some point to trap even more cars a lap down. Truex in 3rd now all of a sudden. Well, actually, Leffler's still out on the track, I believe, so he'll be in 4th, but he is closing on Leffler. And Kyle Busch now will pit, so Dale Jr. will stay out again. Hoping for another timely caution. to trap even more cars a lap down. I wonder if Dale Jr.'s ever won 3 out of 4 races in his Cup Series career in a stretch. I never would have thought I could have done that at any point this season. I mean, this game is so hard. I have not led in points in any of the 3 series so far, just to tell you how hard it is. A lot harder than I remembered from the last time I played this game, probably over 10 years ago. It is definitely a learning curve every track and every series through this first season. And Dale Earnhardt Jr. somehow found his way in the Cup Series, a victory lane 4 times and once in the Busch Series. Fourth in points coming into this race today. Problem is, his points leader, Carl Edwards, was in the top 5 and has also led laps, so he's not going to gain much on the points leader. With a great day, unless Edwards gets trapped a lap down here, which is definitely possible with the timely yellow. 60 laps to go. Earnhardt, again, going to continue to stay out as long as he can. About 5 or 6 seconds off the lead when the stop started. Leffler not a rookie in 05. He was a rookie in 01. He ran Cup Series full-time in 01. He would have had to have run over half the schedule at least to be certified as a rookie. Or for that to be his rookie season. I feel like Texas always has heat waves. Is it more of a dry heat in Texas, or is it humid there? Probably depends on what part of the state you're in, I'm sure. I've never been to Texas before, that's why I'm asking. Ooh, Earnhardt up the track, lifted, just barely kept it off the wall. Almost had Darlington stripe lucky number 13. He ran full-time at 01. Who did he drive for? I've been calling him a rookie all season. Nobody's ever mentioned that. Truex on his way in. Likely from second place. And Dale Jr., I believe, is the last car that still has to make a green flag stop. It's in the 0-1. Would that have been MB2 at the time then? I have to look up racing reference on that because I don't remember of that. Yeah, I knew what you meant, Mark. Oh, Ganassi in 01. I didn't know he had the 01 car. I wonder if Dale Jr.'s got a shot of leading the most laps in this race today as well. The reason to stay out as long as he can. He was only about 2 laps away from pitting when we had the last caution, which was the 9th of the race. Staying in the AC, I wish my warehouse had AC. It's gonna be brutal where I live. 97, 99 the next 2 days. It'll be humid, sticky. Supposed to get big thunderstorms tonight. Hopefully after the stream. Dale Jr. will pit next lap at 3:16. It'll be his final stop of the day, assuming the race stays green to the end. Definitely one of the longest green flag runs we have had in the race so far today, as of right now. A-Crew has made a mistake under one of the pit stops under yellow. They're going to need a really good stop here. Pretty smooth pit road entry for Dale Jr. Trying to get as much speed as he could, and he is on. 4 tires and fuel, going to top off. No adjustments once again for the 8 of Dale Earnhardt Jr. Final pit stop of the race. The money stop, if you will. You have to golf Wednesday in the heat too. Jeez. I don't know if I'm going to be able to play. I'd have to get an oil change either tomorrow or Wednesday. Might hit the driving range if I have the energy after work. Being in the heat. So Kurt Busch is going to be in the lead following green flag pit stops. Dale Jr. definitely lost some time staying out as long as he could. He's got 51 laps to try and get that time back, and right now he's about 12 seconds off the race lead in the 4th place position, not too far in front of his teammate Martin Truex Jr. and Jason Leffler right behind him in 5th. Kurt Busch drove the 1 for Ganassi, but this was within the last couple of years, yeah. 2019 through 2021. 3 seasons. So again, Dale Jr. 12 seconds off the lead. He has 50 laps to try to run down Kurt Busch. Maybe the largest deficit he has had on normal strategy in this race today. Everybody's good on fuel to the end. Will we get a late race yellow? And this would by far be the longest green flag run of the day if it stays green all the way to the end, over 100 laps. He's going to have to really stand on the throttle, though, because the pace he's running right now, at least these first couple laps off of pit road, doesn't seem quick enough to be able to get to those leaders. (2018) Did he drive freaking Ganassi in 2018? I think he was still with Stewart-Haas Racing. Because he won the Bristol Night Race in 2018 with SHR. And definitely stay hydrated in the heat. All of you guys. Junior pushing hard through 3 and 4 towards the outside on corner entry. Almost overdrove the corner, but he kept it off the wall. 28.479. His fastest laps of the day have been right around the 28.2s. I just don't think so, though, because I thought his first win with Ganassi was at Kentucky in 2019. I mean, it would have been announced 2018. I don't remember him. I feel like the first year at the 550 package was his first year there. So I know for a fact he won the Bristol Night Race in 2018, and I think he was with SHR. It was his last win there. Returns 1 and 2. Dale Jr. way down low. Desperately needs to get around these lap cars. Got around Labonte and Mears over the last couple laps. He's still side by side with Casey Kane. Dale Jr. is gaining about 9/10 of a second on Kurt Busch. In the span of about 8 laps. Junior just digging right now. He was so far down on the bottom off turn 4. Trying to take as much of a shortcut as he can, really. I don't know how much that's going to work out for him. He's definitely going to wear the tires out throughout the course of the run. But you have to push hard. I don't think it's so much about tire management anymore. You've got what you got, and gonna leave it all out on the line right now. 40 laps remain in the Dodge Charger Southern 500 at Darlington. Live on KRC, or Do It For Dale series on NASCAR 06. It's 2005 season. Junior's led a lot of laps today. I'm not sure if he's gonna go down leading the most or not, but he's led a lot. Maybe stayed out a bit too long during those green flag stops because he was only about 6 seconds off the lead from Kurt Busch. It's slowly gaining on him from about a 9-second deficit earlier. He led at one point with less than 100 to go. Junior did. Nearly got the wall off turn 2. He is pushing hard right now. Harder than what he has the entire race, that's for sure. I just don't think he has enough laps. He's got 2 lucky breaks with cautions today. A third might be asking for too much, but we'll see if he can get it. All he's looking for is a shot. Try not to look at the intervals for a little bit so I don't risk overdriving the car. We'll alternate through the different camera angles one final time in this race today over the next dozen laps. We haven't really seen a whole lot of lap traffic over the course of long green flag runs. It's mainly just because of the restarts and all the cars that were a lap down because of those 2 cautions in the middle of green flag pit stops. Being on the inside of the lead lap cars is really the only time we've seen any sort of lap traffic. That in the middle of green flag pit stops themselves. With the long green flag runs we've had at times today. Junior trying to hold a tight exit as close to the bottom as he can. That's why you see him down on the apron quite a bit. Trying to take the shortest way around is what he feels is the quickest. I think he can cut it within a few seconds, but I just don't see him over this long of a green flag run cutting it down below that. 0.2 of a second quicker that last lap than the leaders. Well, 0.2 of a second quicker through 1 and 2 alone that last lap. So easy to step over the edge here. 50 solid, fast, hard, aggressive laps for Earnhardt is a lot to ask for on this racetrack. I would not be surprised if he steps over the edge one of these times and puts it in the wall, but so far so good. Or even at worst, wrecking the race car, and definitely not something you'd want to see. Obviously, outside of Busch, though, Carl Edwards, Kyle Busch, Kurt Busch is the leader, but Kyle Busch, Carl Edwards, they would be passes per position that Earnhardt would have to get around pretty quickly as well. So he's obviously going to have to battle those guys pretty harshly as well. And every lap car Kurt Busch catches and passes, Earnhardt's going to have to do the same thing. Michael Waltrip in the 15 might be the next lap car ahead of Dale Jr. right now. Just going to have Waltrip back off, and team orders will allow Dale Jr. to get around him. Wonder if Mikey's still in the top 10. Definitely know he's a lap down. Jr. looking low off turn 2 on the back straightaway, and I'm sure Waltrip will hop in line behind him going into turns 3 and 4. Deep dive into the corner just to make sure that Jr. had him clear, so Waltrip made an easy path for his teammate to get around him. Smart move by the DEI cars. Junior probably the last realistic one that has a shot to win. Truex still in the lead lap. We get a late race yellow. He's running 5th or 6th right now. He could have a shot still. Albo, welcome to the stream. .2 seconds back now. Again, it was a 12-second deficit from Dale Jr. with 50 to go. 27 laps left this time by. He's only gained 3 seconds in the first 23 laps. And now he's got another Darlington stripe as he's in the wall through 3 and 4, and that's not going to help him either. Cost him a 10th as Kurt was a 10th quicker that last lap. Edwards is there with Kurt Busch, and they start battling. That could hold Kurt up as well. .9 seconds. Kurt Busch pitting about 10 laps before Dale Jr. is really looking like it's going to be the difference maker. And Jr. was still 6 seconds off the lead, but if he is less than 6 seconds off the lead at the finish, that is definitely going to be the difference maker. And Kurt Busch winning versus Dale Jr. Still can't count Kyle Busch out of it yet. Carl Edwards especially. I think Busch might be the next car in front of the 8 of Dale Jr. After one more lap, we'll go back to the far chase cam for the rest of this race today. Again in the wall is Earnhardt off turn 2. Probably won't be the last time. as hard as he is pushing this race car right now. "14 stripes on the outside wall today for Dale Jr. You've seen a lot of other drivers get into the wall throughout the course of the race as well. And we did see Mark Martin blow an engine very early in this race. I say that because Edwards and Kurt Busch are teammates of Mark Martin. Seen Roush cars struggle with engine failures around this time period in NASCAR as well. They were fast, but they had their fair share of engine problems at the same time. The defending champion Kurt Busch just trying to get that first win of the season. And to have it come in a crown jewel event and be in the Southern 500 would be massive for him. Waltrip's been keeping pace with Dale Jr. ever since Jr. had quickly gotten around the 15 of Waltrip. Jr.'s definitely quicker than Kurt Busch. That's why caution should be so big. We've had a lot of late race restarts in races this season. Jr. can't be the one to cause the accident, though, or be involved in any way. 20 to go. Dodge Charger Southern 500. Just less than 8 seconds off the lead. Four seconds in about 30 laps. Kyle Busch in third is definitely the next car ahead of Dale Jr. This is by far the longest green flag run of the race, as we have currently gone over 100 laps since the last yellow. A lot of lap cars in front of both Kyle Busch and Dale Jr. as they're about to be battling for third. Jr. up the track, overdriving the corner on entry. Kept it off the wall that time. Diamonds the corner off of turn 4. Trying to find a way to get a big run on Kyle Busch. Way down to the bottom he goes. Busch to the inside of lap car Shane Neal. Three more lap cars in front of Busch yet. Into turns 3 and 4. Dale Jr. way down to the bottom. To the inside of Busch, trying to trap him behind lap car John Andretti. Side by side on the front straightaway for third. Just over 7 seconds off the lead. Jr. with the deep dive into 1 and 2. Clears Andretti, therefore clearing Kyle Busch. Busch trying to drive to the inside of Andretti, and now the 109 car is the next lap car ahead of Dale Earnhardt Jr. Turns 3 and 4, Jr. will get around him and clear him up off the exit of the corner. 7 seconds off the lead. 15 laps to go in the Southern 500 now. Dale Jr. up to P3. Still going to keep a hot streak alive, but the win streak is going to come to an end, it looks like, without a caution. The same three who had that 3-wide Classic finish at Talladega on Friday night and return 3 days later, we'll finish 1, 2, 3 once again the way things are running right now. Not sure how far behind Kurt Busch Carl Edwards may be. It does seem like Kurt Busch has quite a bit of lap traffic around him, but I don't think it's going to be enough that Dale Jr.'s gain that much time. Wonder who the next lap car is ahead of Dale Jr. Looks like it may be Terry Labonte in the 44. Another Hendrick Motorsports car might make it tough for Dale Jr. to get around him with one of Labonte's teammates, Kyle Busch, running in 4th. Trying to find a way to get back to Dale Jr. After Labonte, I don't even know if Dale Jr. is going to catch another lap car the rest of this race. Labonte blocking Earnhardt off of turn 4. Dale Jr. way down on the apron. Gets into Labonte. Labonte into the wall on the outside. No caution. We stay green. That would not have been a caution Dale Jr. wanted because he would have been involved in the accident starting it. So we do stay green. And he'll remain in 3rd. And we still run without a yellow, and he's 5.5 seconds off the lead with 8 to go. 9 laps left. Excuse me. Bonnie blocked him off turn 4. Junior drove it in deep in 1 and 2 to get underneath him, and he slid up into the side of the 44 of Terry. Junior a little loose. Just wishing he had those 28.2 lap times that he had earlier in the race. A little harder this far into the run to ask for something like that, though, at the same time. Caution comes out too late in the race, though. We're not even going to get a restart, and the race could end under yellow. Oh, we got a couple cars on pit road. Oh my goodness, Junior nearly lost it off of turn 4. Jimmy Johnson and Rusty Wallace just came into the pits. I know Junior's good on fuel to the end. Remember, he went about 10 laps longer than Kurt Busch and Carl Edwards. I think Edwards actually pitted even before Kurt Busch earlier in the race. Junior lost a little bit of time that last lap. Junior again going to try to keep this pressure on. 5.2 seconds off the lead with 5 to go. Haven't seen anybody else pit though the last lap and a half other than Johnson, Kurt Busch, and we have more cars pitting. We have guys running out of fuel. Edwards is out. Carl Edwards is out of gas in 2nd, and Dale Jr. is up to P2 off turn 4. Oh no, he almost lost it. Almost overdrove the corner. Had to make another great save. His tires are getting chewed up right now. He's digging. 4 to go. Kurt Busch, can he make it on fuel to the end? I didn't even think this was possible. I thought everybody was going to be good. Junior went a lot longer than everybody else, and maybe it's a good thing he did. I didn't think it was at first. 3 laps to go this time by. That right rear is really worn out on Dale Jr.'s race car. Will it stay green? Because if a caution comes out now, the race will end. No cautions on the final lap. Does Kurt Busch have enough gas to make it to the end, or can Dale Jr. steal the Southern 500? A 15th Darlington stripe off turn 2 that time. He's got a very loose race car. Just a couple miles to go for Kurt Busch. Jr. trying to steal another win away from him. Remember, Edwards is the points leader. Him running out of gas was big as far as that goes. Right front really wearing out now on the 8. Kurt Busch stays out again. White flag this time by. 1 lap to go for Kurt Busch. He's got 5.3 seconds back to Dale Jr. The Southern 500 has turned into a fuel mileage race, and Busch has only a mile to go to make it to the end of the 500. He's on the backstretch. Still managing a 5.2 second gap into turns 3 and 4. Will he make it? Through 3 and 4, one final time. He's definitely not pitting. And he's got enough to coast it from there. Checkered flag in the air. Kurt Busch will win the Southern 500 at Darlington. Dale Jr. will come up second place, just shy of winning 3 in a row. And Kurt Busch has won his first race of the season. And another Crown Jewel win for Jack Roush and Roush Fenway Racing this year. In the first 2 Crown Jewel races of the season, with Biffle winning the Daytona 500 and now Kurt Busch winning the Southern 500. How about the day for DEI, finishing 2nd, 4th, and 6th? By far the best performance they've probably had this season all across the board. Truex needed that. He had DNF'd in the last 2 races. And Michael Waltrip, who had great runs in the last 2 races, couldn't finish it off. Kurt Busch led the most laps today, leading 101 laps. It's a max points day for him. The guy who led the second most was Dale Jr. with 82 laps led, finishing in 2nd. Kyle Busch ends up finishing in 3rd. Great run for the rookie. Martin Truex Jr. rookie finishing in 4th. And Jason Leffler rounds out the top 5. A great performance for Leffler today on a skill-based track. Only 5 cars finished on the lead lap. Michael Waltrip, first car lap down at 6th. Bobby Labonte, 7th. Carl Edwards, who ended up running out of gas with about 3 to go, finished in 8th by the time he took that splash to go, came out of the pits. He led 6 laps today. Casey Mears finishes 9th. Great run for him, for Chip Ganassi Racing as well. And Casey Kane will round out the top 10. Back-to-back top 10s for Kane. Harvick led 53 laps. Ended up 11th, 50 laps led for Gordon today. He was really a non-factor the entire second half of the race. Ended up 14th. That one caution earlier in the day definitely trapped him a lap down and hurt his chances. Greg Biffle, also that second yellow during green flag stop, trapped him a lap down. He led 19. Pole sitter Matt Kenseth led the first 54 laps of the day. Unfortunately, he finished a lap down at 19th. And we'll check it to see who all DNF'd. Mark Martin blew an engine at lap 15. Travis Kloffel blew an engine at lap 210. Scott Wimmer blew an engine at lap 239. We saw Jeff Green blow an engine at lap 243. McGee would have finished. So only 4 drivers DNF'd and blew engines. 9 cautions for 27 caution laps, 25 lead changes. Margin of victory for Kurt Busch, 5.1 seconds as he gets redemption after losing the race at Talladega to Dale Jr. on the final lap. He, in redemption, beats Dale Jr. to win the Southern 500. Average race speed of 135.92 miles an hour. And we'll take a look at the updated point standings. Jr. closing in on Edwards with a second place run, despite the fact Edwards had a top 10 finish. Finishing in 8th, both Jr. and Edwards led laps. The Chevy American Revolution 400 at Richmond will be the next race on this 2005 schedule. It'll be race number 11, and that will be coming your way Thursday night at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. It was a long race, just over 3.5 hours. A good finish, good points day for Dale Jr. Very close to getting 3 straight wins, but just couldn't quite get it done. And if we look at the point stand, or not the point standings, but I'm looking at Dale Jr.'s finishes over the last 5 races now. Last 6 races, he has finished 2nd, 1st, 14th, 1st, 7th. So 7th or better in 5 of the last 6 races for Dale Jr. He's definitely on a hot streak. 3 wins in the last 5 now as well. And now we'll check out those point standings. Dale Jr. moves up 2 spots in points ahead of Tony Stewart and Jimmy Johnson today, and he's now 142 back from Carl Edwards. Edwards, even though he ran out of gas with a few laps to go, still got the top 10. That keeps his top 10 streak alive. He has finished in the top 10 in all 10 races this season, the only driver to do so far. And now we'll take a look back at the bubble Again, the top 10 based off of points alone make it to the chase. Rookie Mike Bliss is hanging in there in 10th right now by just 6 points over Kyle Busch, who had a tremendous day, finishing 3rd in the Southern 500. He's only 6 points behind him. Newman only 7 back at 12th. Rusty Wallace 15th back in 13th. Heck, even Kevin Harvick is only, what, 46 points. Harvick's 46 points out of 10th and 14th. Sadler 15th. Only another 14 back from Harvick. And a little bit bigger gap back to Martin Truex Jr. in 16th. But Truex had a top 5 today, finishing 4th. Great run for him. He needed that after back-to-back blown engines. He is a little over 100 points still out of first. About a little over 145 points out of first place. But he's within one, or out of 10th rather, and he's within one race worth. Michael Waltrip, his big day, finishing 6th. That gains him quite a few spots of points, going from 23rd to 20th. Trying to make a surge into the playoffs here, ladies. Not all that far behind Truex. So we'll see. They're definitely going to need more good runs going forward. So like and subscribe for more daily NASCAR content. That is going to wrap up tonight's Southern 500 on NASCAR 06 on the channel. Tune in tomorrow for another race on NASCAR 06 Total Team Control, as we'll have another Do It For Dale Series race, but we'll go Busch Series racing at Richmond. And our coverage, I believe, let me pull up my streaming schedule for this week. We'll start tomorrow night at 8. So 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time tomorrow night. NASCAR 06 Busch Series race at Richmond. Race number 12 of 35. 15th in points is Dale Jr. on that side of things. Needs a good run. He's 369 points out of first as well. Needs a desperately great set of races. He needs the luck he's had in the Cup Series in recent weeks to transfer over to the Busch Series, because it has not been good on that side of things. We'll see if he can turn it around, though. Thanks for tuning in today. As always, like, again, and subscribe. On the road to 3,000 subs, but most importantly, on the road to becoming a NASCAR commentator for real races in the real world down the line. Appreciate your guys' support. I'll see you guys tomorrow night at 8.